This week's episode of Champ and the Tramp is brought to you by none other than Bubba Coos Burritos. This week's winner for the challenge that we put out there for you guys is Al Garcia from Palmdale, California. What do you think of Bubba Coos, buddy?
Garcia.
Yeah.
Hey, he's going to be a happy man. I seen a picture of him. He looked pretty damn happy in a Bubba Coos.
You will be getting a $25 gift certificate mailed out to you this week.
Let's go.
Bubba Coos Burritos.
Real show, here we go. Real show, here we go. You know that it's gotta be that time, so this is what we chant. What keeps on getting them all amped in advance? Come on. You and I rocking out with Iron Man, FE. You get the general's point of view on top of Roger's rants. We're never tapping out, we're putting the most minutes in. You already know what that's about, you know that winners win. Crush whatever's on task, check the podcast. It's the Champ and the Tramp, let the bomb blast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Champ and the Tramp. Today we have on the couch my man Lance, the Party Palmer.
Yes, I love that.
He's a four-time Big Ten champion, four-time All-American, two-time PFL millionaire winner. He's also known as Ted DiBiase, right? Yeah, my man Lance. So he's currently in the tournament right now, and he's back in Jersey training with the team, and good to get him on the couch, bro.
Heck yeah. I'm glad to be here, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's been a long time. I've been talking to you, trying to figure out times, and then COVID fucked everybody over.
Kibosh on everything.
It did. It's good to be here, though. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to be back. And so tell me, how was COVID for you over there in Hawaii?
It was. It would have been sick in Hawaii. Dude, honestly. Like, the beginning of it was like, I didn't know what was going to happen.
Like everybody, right?
Yeah, you're just like, oh, man, we got this 14-day lockdown thing, like sitting at home, watching movies. Like, the most I've hung out with my wife in probably like 8 years because I'm usually traveling and training. Yeah. But it was really weird. And then once it got to the point where everybody knew it was somewhat serious and everything started getting shut down, PFL was like, nah. We're not doing it this year.
They put the stop on everything.
Yeah.
For the longest out of all of them, right?
Yeah. I mean, they literally were just like,
we literally had to miss out a season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020, it was pretty much kiboshed, right?
Yeah. We were probably 4 or 5 weeks out from the first fight that was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be May 21st.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And it was like May 6th or something. I was actually out on a job because I own a landscape business, and they were just like, I had so many messages on my phone because I was either on a machine or a mower or something, and I got off it, and I was like, man, it was a Monday, and I was like, man, I shouldn't have this many people texting me, and I didn't know what it was all about. And then I got on Twitter, and I was like, I found out through social media, of course, instead of like actually somebody. Yeah, I'm like, dude, they didn't even have the balls to be like, hey,
we're gonna not do the season.
Not even email the athletes. Like, we found out on social media. So it was that was really frustrating, and I was like, all right, well, maybe it'll just be one fight. Maybe they'll do like later on, but they knew right away. They're like, we're not doing a season.
Wow.
So that was frustrating, but a lot of it worked out in the long run, obviously, because my wife and I were getting ready to start trying for kids, and then we were able to have one during that time.
I mean, you're home all the time. Shit, what else there?
Yeah, exactly. We were like, well,
fucking or fighting.
Exactly. So we did both.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, it was COVID. COVID was weird because the negative of it was not being able to fight, and that's what I love to do. Like, when I'm done fighting, then I'll make the choice. Like, hey, I don't want to fight anymore. But to have it kind of taken from you for a whole year. It almost felt like it would have probably been, I kind of compare it to an injury. Like, I would have rather it been an injury of something of where I could, like, choose how fast I recover or get back to it. Like, I didn't know when they said, they were like, oh, we're not going to do a season. I just thought that they were probably going to shut down. I was like, they're probably not going to come back next year.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've already had one fight this season and we're getting the next fight going June 10th is like, it's refreshing, but also all of last year, I was able to build my landscape business, do some real estate lending, just like work on things outside of fighting that I really didn't have time to do the years before that. So it was kind of a positive in that, plus the baby and stuff. So it was, I mean, I just tried to make it positive, but I was still kind of pissed off because, especially when the UFC and Bellator started fighting again. I mean, the UFC started in June.
Yeah.
Like they only took like 2 months off.
Might have been May, I think. Actually,
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah. I think they went to
Do
Florida.
you think that has
yeah.
to do with them probably having a bigger budget because they went right over to Fight Island, right? Was that where they started?
Well, not even that. I mean, first they figured they went right to Florida.
Yeah,
well, that was the first one, but they kind of snuck that one in.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
WWE snuck the first one in, really.
Yeah, but WWE's a little different, I think. Because they don't have, like, all their fighters are right there. I mean, all their wrestlers, I think, are there, right?
Yeah.
They're
based out of Florida somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, that's true.
But PFL's got a bunch of new investors, too, right?
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
So they basically had
no,
2 years
Marshawn
worth.
Lynch, right? Isn't Marshawn Lynch doing something? Like
I know Wiz Khalifa just signed on
Oh, no
as
shit.
as
Marshawn
an
Lynch,
owner.
too.
That's sick.
that?
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, it was fight week, and they announced the Wiz Khalifa thing as an owner. So I don't know if they.
And Wiz Khalifa actually trains a little bit, doesn't he? I've seen
Yeah.
the videos. of him.
Yeah, he hits mitts,
Yeah,
and he's better than Stephen A. Smith. That's
Hell
for
yeah.
sure.
Hell yeah.
So PFL, for people that don't know, used to be World Series of Fighting, right? Which was
Yeah.
Ray
Yep.
Sefo.
Yep.
How would you pronounce
Still,
his
still,
name?
he's
It's
still-
still
he
Ray
start-
Sefo, right?
Yeah.
But they have investors now, basically, right?
Yeah, he's still the president of PFL, and it was basically like way back when I first fought in World Series. It was basically Ali and Ray Sefo, and Ali was the matchmaker. Ray Sefo was the president, and then they had a couple other guys who were like the business side of it. But it was still like,
Wait, Ali, as in your Ali?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
yep. And that was
shit.
before he even managed me. So I've known Ali for years before
Okay.
we even worked together. So it was kind of like I knew that he had all these guys in World Series, and I was fighting a lot of them at the time. And then when I kind of just wanted to get out of my relationship with my management at the time, just because I felt like they weren't doing enough for me. And Ali, like, I reached out to him because he's not really somebody who will poach. Like, even there was a situation with Cody Garbrandt too, with the same management, and he's like, bro, I'm not gonna, if he wants to talk to me, he could talk to me. I know he's a good kid. I'll help him if he needs the help, but I'm not gonna reach out to him. So I kind of made the connection there for them also, because that's just not who he is. Like, he's
Well, he's got a lot of fighters under him now. He probably doesn't need to reach out,
for sure.
How many fighters, roughly?
Oh, 30.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
Maybe probably
He's
more.
probably
Maybe fucking 60.
Yeah,
Shit.
he's got a lot of fighters.
crazy.
He's got half of the fucking PFL roster.
Yeah.
All the
He's got
Russians.
half of the UFC and a bunch of Bellator.
That dude travels nonstop.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he's so he was basically, once it got to that point, it was like 2016. He stepped down as a matchmaker, and Ray and a couple of the other guys were just I think the guy's name was Carlos.
Yeah.
He was really good.
He's involved with tennis or something.
Yeah,
I
like
think.
U.S. tennis or
Yeah.
something. So with both of those guys, they were, I had a great relationship with them all through World Series of Fighting. And they came to me and said, we're going to start a season format next year. It's going to be called Professional Fighters League. Obviously we want you to be part of it because you're the champ right now. And everybody starts with a fresh slate, obviously, but we want to keep you signed on. And there was it was a time period where I was like, dude, I have no idea. Like, this doesn't sound like something that's going to work. And I was just like, I was always optimistic that it, like, man, $1 million, that sounds great. Win a tournament, win $1 million. And it sounded good at the time, but I was just like, I don't know how the season format's going to work. Like, even when I was fighting in season 1 in 2018, I was like, okay, so I got to get a first round finish to get 6 points, or I got to get,
I was reading about that, how that works, tournaments work. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different design there, but
like
listen, it worked out well for you.
Yeah, well, that's
you
what's
won in
crazy.
18 and 19, right?
Yeah, that's what's
So
crazy.
that was $1 million each.
Yep.
Good for
So
you,
the
man.
semifinals are basically, or the tournament structure. So you have 2 regular season fights in, like this time of year, basically in the spring and summer, and then in the fall is when we'd have the basically postseason playoffs. In the playoffs, you fought twice in one night. So if you win the quarterfinal fight, it was only a 2-round fight because most commissions only allow 5 MMA rounds in one night. So if you won the first fight, which is 2 rounds, then you fight in the semis like an hour or 2 later.
Which is kind of like old school UFC.
Yeah, and it was
style,
cool. It was old
yeah.
like Pride style,
Yeah,
like
right.
Mark Coleman and Mark Kerr days.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you just fight as many times as
Right.
it takes. And so that format was really cool, and I liked the idea of it because it was like in wrestling you could wrestle 6 or 7 matches in a day in a big tournament.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, this is like I can easily fight 5 rounds at once.
Mm-hmm.
So if I split 5 rounds up between 2 separate guys,
Does
and have a break.
does your mentality change any for those? Like your first fight coming out, you know, are you thinking, I don't want to get an injury? I want to. You come out harder, I guess. You come out swinging for the fences, or you know, right out the gate, just trying to get a finish because you know you got another fight after it, and you don't want to get an injury. I can remember watching Hoist Gracie. There was a fight, you know, that he had later, and he couldn't compete. He came out, but he was too injured to compete, and they called it off. You know, so is that in your brain? Like I better try to finish this guy quickly, so
I
that
think
I got
strategy-
I got gas in the tank for the next one.
Yeah, I think strategy was one of those things where for me it was more like it wasn't like, oh man, I don't want to get hurt, but I knew that was always there. Like, man, I could win this fight, but I've already broken my hand twice
Right.
in fights, and they were both title fights. So I'm like, that kind of worried me because I'm like, dude, if I do something, like if I crack his head the wrong way or something and break my hand again, then I'm going to be fighting with a broken hand in the second fight.
And I would think it's that gap in time. You know, you probably got what, an hour or two between the next fight.
Yeah, and that's when you
that's
feel
when it starts hurting,
your
right?
adrenaline goes
Right.
away.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's because I've been in fights like I had a title fight where I broke my hand in the second minute of the first round, and I like after another minute of that round, I was like, oh shit, it's broke. Like it started swelling up already, and it felt like a marshmallow. I couldn't punch with a closed fist. It was basically just like I was just throwing it out there, and it was just folding up as I was using it. But it's still in a wrap. It's still in a glove, so you can kind of like fight through it a little bit. But I knew that if something happened in that first fight, I was like, man, like either get a submission or win a decision, get takedowns, like win the fight on the scorecards at least, and get to the semifinal. Then in the semifinal, if you have to have a brawl or if you have to get crazy in there, then go ahead because that's a regular fight at that point. Obviously, the strategy is always to win, but you can kind of open up a little more and use more of a game plan instead of just winning. So that was interesting, and that was the first season for it. So everybody was kind of like, we don't know what to do. We're just going through the motions, really. Everybody was just on their own.
Right.
Take the path least.
Well, you get more
points.
points. You get actually more points for a first round finish, right? Or a second round finish. I mean, this is a strategy to it, I guess, with point fighting.
Yeah, but even at the playoff point, you're already in. So then at that point, you don't have to worry about a finish as much. Yeah.
And you're still in the tournament, even though you just had the loss to Bubba, right?
Yep. I'm June 10th, and the point system, I mean, with the point system, I could still make the playoffs. Even, I mean, the way the point system works, you could just have a win and still get in, but I'd like to have a finish.
Right.
I want to talk about that fight, the Bubba fight. My take, obviously, I know you trained alongside you. Just, I mean, you haven't been in there for fucking a long time. You can tell, you can tell. And I don't know, a lot of people at home don't know. Ronald Roger knows he had to fucking quarantine for 17 days.
That is
I'm not trying to
insane.
give you excuses. Everyone had to do it. But not only that, you just had to fuck your fucking daughter 11 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you're bouncing on her right away. You know, that's got to be a lot on your mental, you know. And then fucking be tied up in a room and haven't fought in over a year. You don't even have your team with you.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of by yourself trying to get through that 17 days, cutting weight alone. That's fucking tough. And then I just felt like you were just a little bit like, not gun shy, but just, you know, when you're not used to fucking competing, you're kind of just waiting a little bit too much.
Dude, that was exactly it. And I kind of thought of it more as I didn't flip the switch because I always have, like, either when I'm walking out for the fight or when, like, during the warm-up or, you know, even in the cage, like when I get in the cage, I'm waiting for them to do the announcements and everything. I flip the switch. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, let's go. Like, because I like to joke around and, you know, all the way up until we're in the warm-up room. Yeah. Because I know, like, even with wrestling, like, I could fuck around and then get to the point where it's like, all right, it's time to turn it on.
Yeah.
You know, everything.
You've been beating since you're fucking 5 years old.
Yeah. Man. And it was just a weird thing because, like, even though all that stuff wasn't normal, like the 17-day quarantine, not having the coaches there for that time period, and there was probably like 6 people on the whole card who actually had their coaches and team with them the whole time. So I feel like that's definitely was an advantage for him on top.
Oh, he did for those 17 days.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
that's
I was
a big
surprised.
commitment we were talking about it a little bit. Like Mark Henry. I mean, he's got a
Yeah.
business to run. He's got a family. I mean, who can take 17 days and
it's
Well, dude, I almost didn't fight because of that.
Really?
I'm like, dude, I have businesses outside of fighting.
Yeah.
I have my daughter who was only 6 weeks at the time that I went in there.
Right.
Like, there was a lot that was going on before that, and when they said 17 days, I was like, I might just sit this out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But then you were thinking about that $1 million check again.
Yeah. I was like, dude,
Daddy needs a new track on.
Yeah, these regular season fights, I make my normal fight purse. So I'm like, man, it's like you can't pass up the money for these, then the $1 million on top of it if you win the tournament. So it's like all that stuff is going through your head financially. But then for me also, like, no amount of money is worth more than like being with family or
100%.
or like even in those stages of her life, seeing it on FaceTime isn't the same as being able to see it in
It's
person.
kind of two perspectives on that, although I totally agree with what you're saying, but it's like now time or later time, earn the money so that I can enjoy the later time. But I totally get what you're saying, especially when you have a daughter that young, a child that young. You want to be in that moment. You want to be there, but
especially a lot of those things you won't get back.
Right.
A lot of those experiences.
Especially my first daughter.
My
first kid, I think. And I like, this isn't anything like against my brother, but his first kid, he's not with that girl. So just for him to be able to see his son, who's 11 years old, is like, he barely gets to see him unless he schedules it and like drives up. Like, she lives 2 hours away with her with her husband now and stuff. And it's like, I've seen the worst of the worst with like the family situations. And obviously I'm not in that same situation, but him not being able to be there for all those times for his son, I mean, not by choice necessarily, but still, like, for me, that stuff went through my head too because I've seen it firsthand. And there was a lot that was going on outside of it, but I did feel focused while I was in quarantine. I was like, man, I'll just make the best of it. But as quarantine went on, I was like, this is really like the worst scenario that could happen. Like, not even like, I have a buddy, Juan Archuleta. He's fighting for Bellator this Friday. He usually comes with me just for fight weeks and stuff, and we train together. He's fighting now, so he wasn't able to come that whole time. And he called me right after the fight. He's like, dude, I'll be there next time that whole time. He's like it's one of those things where, like, I don't expect anybody to take 17 days away from their family, their business, like whatever it is, because I don't want to do it. And it's like, I'm the one who's got to fight. None of them have to fight, so I have to make it happen. And so I didn't really want to make that as an excuse. That my main thing was just that when I was in the cage, I was like, I didn't feel like I was about to get in a fight. And even after the fight, I was like, dude, I don't feel like I was even in a fight because luckily I had no injuries. I didn't get hurt. So it was the weirdest fight I've ever been in.
So who decides on the 17 days? The commission, the venue, the
PFL
the
said it was them.
PFL.
So
I just don't. I mean, listen. What do? We do Tuesday to Saturday in UFC. That's it.
Right.
Like, why?
That's
why
why
are
I'm
they doing
saying.
it anymore?
Why is it so different?
Bellator does the same thing. I think.
Yeah.
I just don't get that.
Well, they had a whole protocol of why they do it for 17 days, and we got tested every single day up until fight day, and then when after these, they just announced like an email yesterday they said, okay, we're only doing 12 days. But I was like, okay, you had a 17-day protocol, and the reason why the CDC and this and that.
Did the protocol change? Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, so now at 12 days, so if it goes from 17 to 12, why not just take it down to 5 like it normally is?
The whole thing is hard to make sense.
I heard in Florida there was nothing.
They didn't even do testing or anything. I don't think
they should. If they have fans in there with no mask, why the fuck we test anybody?
Exactly.
You know?
Make it make sense. Somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
And
like they just announced the date, May the 19th of this month, right? Bars are opening back up, restaurants full capacity.
But you still have to wear a mask and 6 feet apart.
Right, but like what on the 18th it's not safe?
I know.
The 19th we're good to go?
Yeah.
We're green lighted.
Like what's
make
the
it make
difference in
sense.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. And even the difference in states, like if you're going to, okay, so if we have to deal with this in New Jersey or any other state that still has these rules, why not go to a different state?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
why not do it in Texas
Right,
or do it in Florida?
Well, that's what's happening.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
saying with the
except
PFL, though, you know
PFL.
what I'm
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like they're still like they're putting us
Right.
like the UFC was the day after my fight, and it was full capacity crowd, like
Yeah, right.
the
I know.
most insane energy ever. Watching it on TV, I'm
Right,
like, dude, I
right.
couldn't imagine being there.
Yeah.
That would have been sick. The most electric fights.
We've talked about that in here. Frankie doesn't feel like it affects him that much. He says the walkout is totally different. I'm not trying to misquote you here, but once he's in there, the fight's the fight is kind of
Yeah.
the way he described it. We've had other fighters in there that have said the same thing. Does it affect you? Because I think some fighters do like that hype. They do like they thrive off that energy from their fans and from the crowd. Did that affect you? Especially after
There was
sitting
no
at-
fans there, right?
no fans.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because there was none. The lack of fans, did that have an impact on you or affect you? Are you a guy that derives some of your pump off that? Especially after sitting in a hotel, you got to be like, I sat in a hotel room for 17 days. This is going to be exciting as shit. And then you walk out and it's just like crickets. You know what
Dude,
I mean?
it was so weird. Honestly, like thinking about it after the fact was like, okay, so basically I was in jail for 17 days, and the only way to go home was to fight.
Yeah,
And
right,
leave.
right.
Like
Right.
that's what I thought of it, and I was like, I wasn't even excited to fight because of the whole thing.
You were thinking about going home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I've been here for so long, and obviously there's a lot on the line.
Yep.
And so I'm a super focused person too. It's not easy for me. Like I could have a lot of shit going on outside of fighting and still be able to put it aside for practice, for a fight, for whatever, and then handle it later. Like even back when me and my wife were dating, like stupid shit that I would do, I'd be like, all right, I can kind of put this argument off until after, I could focus and compartmentalize shit. This was just a whole different feeling that was really weird. And I don't think it had to do with no fans. I don't think it had to do with a lot of the things that PFL chose to do for these fights. But I think the 17-day thing definitely affected my mentality of why I was there. I was like, dude, I'm going to go in and fight.
How about being a dad now? Does
Yeah.
that change it? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I still feel like
that's a tough one to compartmentalize.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is like, oh man, everybody's like, man, it's gonna change you, especially having a girl. But like in training, I still feel like, okay, I can turn on the savage mode.
Yep.
Like
When I had kids, like, dude, I'm a fucking animal, and I
Yeah.
go for this and that, but and I'm gonna be an animal regardless. But when you have a kid, it's like now you have purpose to be an animal. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? There's a reason to be a fucking
I feel
animal.
like it helped it
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Because I was
Right.
like, oh yeah, I was like, I have somebody to fight for
Yeah.
besides just my wife, you know.
But that was a good thing when you said how like you were excited to get home. 'Cause I remember even my last fight with Sanhagen. It was only from Tuesday to Saturday,
Yeah.
but I didn't have Ligori or Steve with me,
Yeah.
which I usually do. And Mark Ricardo, they kind of stayed to themselves.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
like I was alone a lot.
Yeah.
And dude, I remember I had my bag packed.
Yep.
I'm like, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Renee, everybody was still at the hotel with my
Yeah.
wife. My kids are there. I'm thinking like, damn, I can't wait to be. I wasn't even thinking about. I was packing my fucking bag before I
Dude,
left.
I did the same
know?
thing. I packed 17. Dude, I had my stationary bike. I literally had a room full of shit for 17 days. I packed like I was moving into an apartment. And
Yeah.
so I had
Gotcha.
all that shit packed up before I left to go to the venue. And then when I got back, Mark and Ricardo they helped me, and they were like, bro, everything's already packed. I was like, dude, I'm fucking ready to
outta
go.
here. Yeah.
I was literally like that was the first fight where I was like, dude, I'm pissed about losing, and I'm
You were
pissed that I wasn't mentally I wasn't in the
yourself,
fight.
right?
Exactly.
I always say like I've definitely had I think 2 fights where I guess but I laid an egg. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I just
for sure.
didn't perform like I didn't show up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened.
It's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And that's people ask me like, dude, was everything all right? And I was like, honestly, I just didn't flip the switch. Like that was my description. And I saw Josh Thompson. He was actually really cool on his take on it because him and Big John McCarthy
Right,
do
yeah,
their
the weighing
thing.
show, yeah.
And so he said something like, I just had a daughter and this and that, and it really wasn't like I didn't have an excuse. It was just that I didn't flip the switch, and I knew that when the fight started. Because even sometimes, like the first exchange, and you're like, okay, we're in a fight. Like the focus turns on, tunnel vision goes in, but that wasn't there.
Never
Like
got there.
I was literally just drilling. I felt like, and the guy didn't hurt me with anything. So I was like, all right, well, I don't feel threatened yet. And sometimes you're like, if you feel threatened, you're like, oh shit, I got to turn it on, that fight or flight. And that just didn't happen the whole time. And I was like, man, this is weird. Like even during the fight, in between rounds, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was just strange, and it was definitely something I never want to happen again. But I don't know why it happened.
Right.
So.
Well, like you said, especially if you have Juan with you next time,
Yeah.
you feel more, zeroed in.
Dude,
and,
human interaction is crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck, bro,
Like,
honestly,
We're
dude,
social beings,
like I
man.
said,
We're social creatures.
I was in that hotel room,
Yeah.
and like I said, Mark and Ricardo kind of did their own thing a lot. Like, bro, I read a book, bro. I read a whole
Yeah.
fucking book. You know what
This
I'm
guy-
saying?
this guy,
When's the last time you read a book?
yeah,
That's what, like,
for real.
like, dude, I don't fucking read, and I was reading shit. I was researching stuff. Like,
Yeah.
FaceTime isn't the same. Like,
Nah,
being
nah.
with, like, talking to people face to face. Like, I would go downstairs to the level where PFL, like, we were sectioned off. We couldn't even go into the regular part of the hotel the whole time.
Damn.
And so I'd go down there and talk to the, like, Terry Wade and all the
Yeah,
PFL
yeah.
people. I'm just like, just talking to them because
Right.
I'm like, dude, I'm fucking bored.
Yeah.
Can
Like,
you
this is
imagine being in
fuck.
prison and being in solitary confinement?
No.
23.
I think it makes people worse.
Oh, yeah.
Could you go outside at all?
There's like one balcony that you could go off and just like hang out, but it wasn't worth it. Like
Wow.
you go out there and you just sit outside. Yeah, you can get some fresh air, but you're not like free.
Right.
Yeah.
There's like a mental thing there of like
Yeah,
that you're
fuck
just
yeah,
kind of like locked in. But
Hey, speaking of it, just because a little bit off subject, but because you brought it up, what do you think of that Sandhagen-Dillashaw fight coming up?
dude, I think
Well,
it's going to
not
be a good
happening
fight.
right now.
Oh, it's not
it got
happening.
pushed
Did
back. Yeah,
did they
'cause
postpone it or cancel
Dillashaw had a
it?
cut. Bro, I don't know, man. Listen, I've had plenty cuts. And
Yeah.
I've got my stitches, and I fucking fought. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Dude,
saying.
Benavidez
And-
has fought like
Oh, yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah.
stitches out the week of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a bad spot. I definitely had cuts on my eye.
Yeah.
And like the picture he posted, you could tell he didn't wipe the blood off and shit. Like he's trying to like, oh look how bad it is. Get the fuck out of here.
I didn't know that.
I listen. It's probably the smart thing to do. It
Yeah.
probably is, but I probably
Yeah,
would have fought.
just for
I'm not the smartest guy. Though.
maybe just for like aesthetics, like if it gets hit in the fight or something
yeah,
and breaks
yeah, and,
open.
or I mean, they could stop it if it does open up over the
That's
eye
true.
and stuff. You know,
Where was that fight going to be?
I don't know. I don't even know.
Was that
I know
Texas?
It was a fight night, so it might have been in Vegas.
Well, it's going to
Oh, okay.
happen, though. So who do you
I
think?
feel like they're doing all like the pay-per-views in Texas or Florida
So they can
because they
make
put
the-
fans there. you
Yeah.
know? But I bet you Agus opens up soon too.
Yeah, I think
Vegas?
so.
Yeah, I bet you.
I thought it was going to open in May, but maybe I know by July it will be because they're having a full crowd for that.
I mean, the states that are open are doing well, man.
Yeah,
They're doing well.
Better
so
than
I
they
think-
were.
I think,
Yeah.
I think better than other states.
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think some states are taking. I mean, listen, they need income. They need
Yeah.
tourism money. They need that's what makes them thrive. So
I think-
especially towns like Vegas.
Yeah, I think as far as the fight goes, I think skill wise, I think TJ is more like technical skilled, but Sandhagen is more dangerous as far as like he's super long.
Yep.
He can come in and out from distance, and especially, I mean,
You gotta give the wrestling edge to TJ.
yeah,
But
I think so.
TJ's been out for a while, so we really don't know. We haven't seen him. It's been over
Yeah.
a year, right?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over 2
January
years.
of 2019, I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long time,
Yeah.
and he had double shoulder surgery during that time out.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked good. I trained in the same gym. We didn't really train together very much, but we trained at the same place when I was out in LA training with Juan, and he looks good. He looks, as ready as he can be. So, I mean, I'm excited to see
Better
that
look
fight.
good. He's on all that fucking EPO and shit.
Fuck, dude. I couldn't imagine just being like, you never get tired or
Dude,
never
I mean,
like think
that's
of
my thing.
being
Like whatever,
tired.
whatever. Say aside from Dillashaw, I'm
Yeah.
not one to fucking start no shit. But like this is like steroids. I feel like you still have to work. You still put some
Yeah.
work in.
For sure.
But like EPO, that's like straight a fucking
just
cheat code.
automatically
That's a
in
cheat
shape.
code, right?
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
fucking
it's got-
crazy.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I don't know the exact ways to take it, but I watched this video called Icarus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
The bike
like,
riding.
yeah, like they're
It's
doing
crazy.
it directly into their veins
Yeah.
and shit
Right,
in the
right.
middle of the night. I'm
Right.
like, dude, they have
So
to get
it's,
on a
that's
bike.
so it's
and,
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
their
you have to get
system quickly, right?
like 7 hours
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
EPO is out of your system 7 hours.
If they do it in their vein.
Oh wow.
So like, and Lance Armstrong, I guess, would have to get on a bike in the middle of the night so his heart didn't stop.
Yeah.
Because his blood was so thick.
So thick.
Yeah, but there was also a lot of corruption within the lab facility
Oh,
itself, right?
for
There was
sure.
like trap doors and
Yeah,
shit. They
yeah.
were like,
well, it's
it was-
Russia.
In
bro. It was
Russia,
a
yeah.
state-run,
Right,
state
right.
government-run
Right.
program.
Yeah.
you know, and they said everybody was on it,
Everybody,
except
yeah.
the figure skater.
But that kind of makes
Yeah.
makes it fair, though, doesn't it? If everybody's on it.
Well, just
no,
everybody
every
from
Russian,
Russia.
not the
okay,
fucking
I got it,
Americans,
got
not
it,
the
got it.
fucking.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, there was one American on it.
Yeah.
Who?
Lance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no, but that no. I'm talking with, that
But
was
just the
no,
Olympic team.
This wasn't. This wasn't Russian bikers. This was the whole Russian Olympic
Oh,
program.
Yeah.
whole Olympic program.
Like they literally
we've-
had a
we've-
state-run program that just they took off the caps. Like they had a machine that
Yeah.
took the caps off without breaking the seal, put the other sample, like clean samples, in, and like shifted them through this trap door out of the facility. Like, dude, it was a crazy thing. And then obviously once the guy like fessed up to all this stuff, they were trying to kill him, so he had to come here.
Right, right,
yeah,
right,
he's
right.
And I was like,
he's in
he's
witness
here now,
protection
right?
right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
It's like
We're gonna have him on
man.
a podcast. Actually.
Yeah. And then we'll get killed. Do you think it's easier outside of the country to cheat outside of the United States?
100%.
You think USADA is more diligent, more strict here in
Yeah.
the States? Yeah, we've talked about this.
Like a lot of my teammates throughout the years, like alpha male guys in LA, you guys, like everybody that's in the US, everybody is like, dude, they fucking knocked on my door like they were the cops at 6 a.m.
Bro,
or
we
like,
were doing a
I feel like
podcast,
here-
and they came here and
Yeah.
knocked on the door, and Renee's like, he's not waiting. He
Yeah.
said, you got to, Frankie's like, give me 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't have to pee anyway.
yeah.
Waited like 15 minutes, and his wife came down and said, he's not waiting anymore. He said, you got to go up now, or he's coming down and sitting in on the podcast. Like, that's no
Hell
joke.
yeah, you should have put him on the
You know,
mic.
but if
like,
you're a guy in Kazakhstan and you're up in the mountains at elevation, what are they sending a guy up there with a fucking backpack to test?
Yeah.
him?
No,
You
they
know what I
don't.
mean?
What I
Yeah.
hear, this is what I hear is like they call you, and be like, when you coming down? Oh, I'm coming down Thursday. Oh, I'll test you then. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. If you
Yeah.
fucking know when the test is, you can
Right.
beat it. That's
yeah,
what I hear.
Exactly.
You know?
And you got to think too, like New Zealand was completely shut down because of COVID. They're not sending people
Yeah, hell
out
no,
there.
hell no.
Like Australia,
Right.
even Brazil. Like I've heard that back when they were sending USADA people there, like the government would arrest them.
Right? Yeah.
At
yeah.
the
Really?
yeah. And like they'd have like, nope, like what are you here for? What's your visa for?
No.
And they'd be like, this
I even
isn't
think,
a,
even I mean, I'm just saying, you probably duke someone in Brazil and
Yeah.
be like, let me know when you're coming.
exactly.
Right? You know?
Yeah, out of the country is definitely like I feel like the people in the U.S. are definitely getting the hardest testing that you can
I feel
get.
like they're trying to catch you.
Yeah,
You know, which
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what they're supposed to do.
but I feel like if they're gonna do it to people in the U.S., they have to spend the extra money to try and do it out of the country
Right.
too.
Yeah.
You know, like because you have your location.
Right.
Everybody in the world has to do their location,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So like you're supposed to know where this person's gonna be that whole time.
That's got to be almost impossible to do. I mean, you have to list obviously where you train, which is easy enough. But
Yeah.
what if your wife says, you know, on a Thursday, Frankie, let's go to the Poconos this weekend? Like,
I just have to switch. I have an app on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I say I'm changing my overnight.
okay,
So I
Do you
put
do
that-
it?
I do.
do you?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, if I
Now
if
is that
I don't,
only
listen,
before a fight or anytime?
all the time,
Anytime.
all the time. Like when I almost went to Austin, I had to put where I was in. I had to put the address I was staying in.
You put the name of the strip club you were at?
Yeah, I had to put the address I was staying in of the Airbnb, and yeah. But if you don't, you get a violation, and if you get 3 violations, you get suspended.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Yair.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't fight Zabit.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, he's always bad with his phone. Like, dude, get the fuck out of
It's
here,
like, dude,
bro.
everybody has their phone
Like,
on them
come
no matter
on.
what.
I didn't know
Nowadays.
that's what
Don't
happened.
believe
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. And the thing that sucks too is like, there's no, like I feel like they choose who they want to test more than others.
Yeah, you could see it. Like, they released the numbers on how many people get tested. There's some people that test literally triple what other people get tested.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because they see something, because supposedly they can
I'm
see the
thinking-
levels. They can see levels of your shit all the time. And I don't know if they're like, ooh, this guy's level's close. I mean, he might be doing something. We're not on him. Let's keep testing him. I think that's how it works.
Or
Okay.
they might
I
just
don't
be
know,
like,
maybe.
well, Chris Cyborg looks like a man, so let's test him more. Could be that too. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Plus, if you get violations, you know, John Jones, for example, do you think he gets more tested?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Oh,
he does.
yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
He's held to a higher
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think it's good for the sport, but I don't think it's foolproof yet.
No, it will
And I don't
never
think
be.
it ever
if, there
will
any-
be.
if there is any test for anything,
It's
I don't
never
give a fuck what it's
foolproof,
for.
right.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna cheat.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
For
It's
sure.
just human nature.
Yeah, but it should be like you said. If they have to spend the extra money, whatever they have to do to make the playing field. Look, it's never going to be perfect. It's just
Yeah.
not. But to make it as I mean, a fighter can be in there that's cheating. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, if they're in a different country and they're not as available as fighters over here.
I've seen a lot of people so with COVID, people want to fight, obviously, and with it being at the apex for the UFC, a lot of these people are staying in the U.S. and training either in Vegas or at American Top Team or whatever. And I feel like you can see a difference in some of those people's bodies just from the time that they're in the country.
There's always rumors. There's always rumors. Even me, I'm not. You guys must hear it all the time, but I'm not even. I'm not,
like what? That Roger's on steroids?
Yeah, well,
I do hear that a lot.
that's-
I do hear that a
Listen,
lot.
back in the day, that guy. But no, I mean, like I'm not from that world. I'm a fan, but I mean, you hear names. You guys hear names all the time.
I'm not gonna fucking tell you.
I'm not asking you to out anybody. I'm just saying, do you hear names?
No, honestly, no, I really don't.
Really?
I really don't.
I don't
I mean,
think
not
you
the
really
people.
hear.
The people. I mean, at least the people that I train with, I don't suspect they do it.
Yeah.
But anybody could be. You wouldn't know.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
I feel like you could tell. I think you could tell if
Body
somebody's
type?
body changes over a short period of time.
Right.
Like,
Vitor, bro. Like you see
Obviously.
something in
Yeah.
his pictures. You know.
Yeah,
It's really like in the beginning of his career, he always looked amazing, and then when USADA came in, then he walked in without being on it, and
Yeah.
that it was like reverse. You're
Yeah.
like, holy
And-
shit! Like
and then he
got
got
back
out of
on
it.
it,
And he
right?
fucking
right,
back to
right,
fucking.
right. Yeah.
well, that was like
crazy.
Henan Barao, dude. Right when USADA
yeah,
showed
yeah,
up, he just
shit
like
the bed, bro.
he just faded away. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of them. You know.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there is. I'm not naming names either, but again, you hear names and you wonder. It makes you scratch your head and be like, I wonder.
Yeah, I feel like once you, because performance, like seeing a performance and like seeing people with like their performance fade, it could just be like the age of the fighter or how long they've been in it, because it's not really your age per se, it's the age that you're in the sport, I think, or like how much damage you usually take in fights or whatever. Like, I feel like that makes a difference too, but you can tell definitely from like the first date of USADA testing, there's been a difference in not a ton of people, but there's definitely a good amount of people that you've seen like
Yeah.
difference in performance or not even body alone, but I mean, there's guys that were champs that like you can tell that their body isn't the same or their performance isn't the same, and they haven't fought as often or whatever it is over the last 5 or 6 years. But I feel, I mean, if that's like even if it's not like performance enhancing or like a steroid, it could have been growth hormone or it could have been like something else that you test positive with USADA, and they'd be like, oh shit, I
think
can't
too,
take
like,
that.
This is what I think too. A lot of those guys that maybe aren't having these performances, and it's not even so much like the body issue.
Yeah.
It's a mental issue, because you take these
Yeah.
steroids, you think you're fucking the man. I feel so good. It feels good, and then you don't take steroids, and say it doesn't even do anything to you.
Yeah.
But you have one day, you have a bad day, automatically you're like, holy shit, it's because I'm not on steroids.
Exactly.
You're gonna be mind fucking yourself the whole time.
100%.
So I'm sure that happens in fights. Like dudes like hits a guy. Holy shit! He fucked that didn't hurt him. Oh my god! It's because I'm not on steroids. Then you start fucking
Well, I
feeling.
mean,
feeling
Cejudo
shit.
beat Dillashaw, and Dillashaw was on. I mean, that's
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, it's not like he beat him. He fucking hit him with a fucking a good shot and rocked him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, it's not like he
he,
wore
like,
him out
swarmed
and
him and
fucking
then
did
the
this.
refs
And
I'm
like,
trying
oh,
to
this-
remember the fight in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah,
I can't really
yeah.
remember it, but
It was first
It was
round.
super early in the
right.
fight,
It was kind
30
of an
seconds or
early
something.
stoppage too, kind of right.
Yeah, I
Somewhat.
feel
mean,
like-
it's just, but
I feel like he
hammer
was
fist,
definitely
right?
rocked,
Yeah.
and he was like fighting for the
Yeah.
legs,
Yeah.
but
he could have let it go. But it was just. I think.
yeah, I think it would have been over shortly after.
Yeah, right.
right.
But yeah, I agree with that. I think it is definitely mental. I think it becomes like a mental thing of like, if you're used to only training this much because whatever you're taking is like gapping the difference, and then you don't take that stuff anymore, and then you're like, oh fuck, do I need to train more? Do I need to do this or that? But if you train hard and you like mentally, you're like, fuck, dude, I've done enough work and I've done everything I can. And I feel like the worker's mentality is never like, that's always going to outweigh like the people that take drugs or people that cheat. It's always going to outweigh that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
sure,
Like
yeah.
you may feel it or you may get caught by somebody, you know, with a punch or something because it's a puncher's chance anyway. But if you're like the wrestler mentality and the hardworking mentality, the blue collar, like you're always like, man, I fucking work way harder than this guy. I put so much more work in. He could take whatever he wants. I'm still gonna beat him.
That's
Plus, that guy's got to beat the system too. You know,
Yeah,
he's got USADA,
exactly.
You know, so
But I mean, like, just that the mental effect that steroids have, that mental effect of working hard has the same fucking thing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, I'm sure.
You know, like knowing that you put the fucking work in.
Yeah,
That's
the
like that's
thing.
what drives me nuts. I see dudes, even like fighters. You see a lot of young wrestlers where they'll work extra hard. And like they don't believe in the work that they did. I'm like, dude, what'd you do all this extra work for?
Yeah,
You're like, I don't get. You don't believe in you're going to be in better shape. You don't believe you're going to improve. I just don't get that. How these people put this work in and don't believe in the work they did. You know what I'm saying?
dude,
don't
it's
you
crazy.
don't you think they've probably been that way their whole life though? Like the
Oh, yeah.
the-
Well, yeah, for sure.
You can
for sure.
you can look amazing in the gym, but if your
But I'm not
head is not
I know, but
programmed to
yeah.
be a fighter, you
Yeah.
know, you're probably not going to reach your pedigree.
I
Agreed.
think it's
you gotta show
confidence,
up.
too.
You gotta
Right,
confidence.
right.
You're
Yeah.
right. You gotta show up.
Because there's times where I'm like, man, like I know I've done enough, and I know that I've put in the work like multiple times, years and years in, and there's times where like I need to go out and prove it to myself. Like every time I'm like, man, I know I put the work in, but I need to prove it.
Right.
Like there's times where I'm like, dude, I've been dying on the bike, or I've been in the cage sparring, or
I
like
feel like wrestlers are just built different too, man. And you're from Ohio.
I think you're just your biggest critic.
Yeah.
You know, like no matter how well I do in sparring, I'm always like, fuck, man, I was missing that counter, I was missing that or this.
I'm like that too. Where when I spar, I always think I do shitty until I see the video. I'm like, oh, I didn't do that bad.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people I know. That don't do so well. They hit you with one shot. They're like, "Well, you see that shot? I got that shot." They also like, "Oh, did you see the fucking other 75 minutes we
Yeah,
fought?" You know?
exactly. Dude, I used to watch film with a couple guys, and we'd be watching boxing sparring or MMA sparring, and they'd be just getting touched with everything, and they would land like one thing and be like, "Oh, you see right here how I did this?" And I'm like, bro, you were literally on the way out.
The
of that.
eternal optimist.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
like if that was a fight, you would have been out. But
yeah.
that one punch you landed
Right.
saved your round. It's
Right.
like I guess that's optimism, but still, it's like not seeing everything that you were doing wrong in there. You're like,
you can be optimistic,
it's like
but you also
delusional.
need to be realistic. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
But those people are probably never going to be champions. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
your sparring partners. You know.
Sometimes, no, but there's guys that are good that just have that wrong mentality, and maybe if they didn't have the mentality, they can even get better. You know?
oh, for sure.
You know.
No
See,
doubt.
talk about
There's the opposite too. There's guys, and you've said this, and I think you even said it on the show that maybe weren't born naturally gifted, but bust their fucking ass in the gym and put the like Corey Anderson's a good example of that. You know what I mean? Like that guy. You were talking about his comment to your son in wrestling.
Yeah.
He didn't win a wrestling match till he was what, a junior or sophomore or something.
From 10 years old. No, yeah, from like fucking 5th grade to 10th grade, he did not win a fucking wrestling match.
One match.
One match.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But look at him now.
Yeah.
You know, because he put the work in. You
But
know,
just the fact that he stuck with it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
don't think I can stick with it.
Me either,
You know?
dude. Imagine going.
Yeah.
Imagine just going one season. Like I don't know how many matches he wrestled each season, but
right.
imagine going one season. Say you wrestle 30 times, or even 15,
Yeah.
and you go 0-15. I'd be like, dude,
how
chalk
demoralizing
this
is
shit
that?
up.
But
Yeah.
and he was a chubby kid too, and look at him now, bro.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, he's
Beast.
a testament.
Right now,
you know?
to
Yeah.
me, he's the favorite in that fucking Bellator tournament.
I think so too.
I mean, even with Anthony Johnson there, I still think Corey, man, he puts the fucking work.
Yeah.
He puts the
And he
the
sticks
brakes
to
But
his
again,
game
it's
plans.
I love Anthony Johnson, but nobody's seen him do anything in so long. He's a wild card. You know what I mean? He
What is
hasn't
it?
fought in so
4
long.
years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to love watching that guy fight.
Like, dude,
man.
he always has the
Always.
dynamite.
Whatever
right?
he
Always.
hits, he destroys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, he fucking hits like an animal.
The only really, I wouldn't even call it a bad fight, but it looked like an example of not looking like you showed up is when he fought Cormier. You know, he didn't.
Cormier is not dumb. Cormier is a very smart fighter.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Nyah," right in his
Yeah.
face.
Yep.
Put him down. That was it.
Yeah.
He did not.
Rumble just knew
Yeah.
once they were in close like
He
that.
just looked demoralized.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
shortly into that
Because
fight.
he just missed a couple of those right hands,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Cormier was even like, "Shit, like I got to get in there."
Yeah. He was smart. See, I don't know if you know, but Lance was a super stud when he was a kid wrestler. When did you start wrestling? 5th grade? Or 5 years old, 4 years old?
9 years old. I
you
was
started
like
wrestling
3rd
9?
grade.
Oh, okay.
It was my 9th birthday.
Oh, wow.
My brother started when he was 5. He was like the epitome of like a naturally gifted wrestler. Like I don't know what it
Older?
was. He's younger.
Okay.
So he started when he was 5, and I was probably 8 at the time. And then he wrestled for a whole year, and I was like, "Damn, that looks cool." I was doing like regular karate, where you just dance and do a kata, and like, They're like it wasn't
break boards.
Yeah, it was like discipline and this and that, but it wasn't like I was like, dude, this really isn't that cool to me. And I was at the point where I was like, man, doing this stuff in front of judges to like earn a stripe on my belt, I'd rather go wrestle and win a trophy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the following year, my dad got me wrestling shoes on my 9th birthday, and I went to practice with my brother. And he was already, like, he was 1 year in. He was already really good. Like, he was 6 years old, and he was already tearing it up. And the guys that were 9 years old and 10 years old at my wrestling club, they had already been wrestling for 4 years.
Right, yeah.
So I literally just had to, like,
Throw into the
Got
wolf.
fed
yeah,
to the wolf, yeah.
I had to grind with those guys all day, every day for, I think it was 2 years in, and I started beating a lot of the guys that were there. And it was awesome because that's kind of when I learned the mentality of, like, it doesn't matter when you start something, as long as if you like it, it's always going to be, I can do more, or I want to do more, or I just want to be in the room learning.
Right.
And I felt like that mentality of catching up was basically what I did. I was like, oh, man, I got to catch up. These guys are my age, and they're this much better than me. And so that's kind of where that came from, because I wasn't naturally gifted at all. Like, I was strong as a kid, and I was naturally strong. Just like we would do push-ups and pull-ups in my dad's bedroom with a pull-up bar that went in the doorway. And it was like that was our workouts when we were little. And then I started wrestling, and I was like, damn, I'm strong, but I'm not good.
Right.
Like, I had to learn how to, like, obviously the
But
technique.
I feel like not everybody's strong. So if you have the strength going in, you just have that natural, and then you can learn the technique.
Yeah.
You're a little above the guy that isn't so strong.
That was always it, too, is like the strength and the cardio. Like, I knew I could wrestle a full match and overtime if I needed to. And I was strong enough. Like, I never wrestled a kid where I was like, damn, Dad, that kid was way stronger than me. And so always growing up, my dad was like, look, you have the strength. You have the conditioning to be able to go an entire match that you need to go. You just need to get better at the technique. Right. And, I mean, it took a while. Like, guys that were really finesse wrestlers, they would always score on me first, because I'd be like, dude, like, just be faster than me or something. And I'd be like, all right, well, I got to turn it up. And then just, like, the ability to work harder and push through, or, like, when guys would fade, that's when I would be able to turn it on. Yeah. So it was always, like, the work harder mindset. It was never like, man, I'm just like a technical wrestler, super good. Because I never really was. Yeah. In college, I got more technical, and I got better at scrambling and just creating opportunities because I was hard to score on.
Where'd you go to college?
Ohio State. Yeah. And that was kind of where I learned how to wrestle.
Great school, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, I won 4 state titles in high school, but I didn't really know. Like, I knew how to wrestle, but not like, I wasn't like this guy that everybody's like, man, that kid could wrestle. Yeah. Like, I was just
4 state titles though.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal. Yeah. NBD.
Well, dude, that was my goal, because my brother, like, me and my brother always had this competitive, like, with each other. Like, we wanted each other to win, but it was like, if he's gonna win a national title, like, or if he's gonna win Tulsa, I need to win Tulsa. Like, he always did better than me for his age and weight.
3 years ahead, so he
3 years younger.
Three years younger. Okay.
So I was the oldest.
Does he still do anything?
He's a coach now.
He's a coach. Okay.
Yeah, he coaches a club and a high school team.
All right.
So it was like a friendly competition all the time. Yeah. Like, right. We were at tournaments.
Who could kick whose ass though growing up?
Me. Like, it was always the big brother mentality. It's like, no matter how good he was, I'd be like, I'll still fuck you up. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's what helped though. Yeah. I think, honestly, when I think about the middle or younger brother, I think that's why they have like that edge to them because they're always like
fighting for.
You guys ever see any of the videos of Joe Lozon and Dan Lozon beating the shit out of each
Dude,
other?
I
on
heard
the front
they
lawn?
just beat the piss out of
The
each
dad
other.
would be out there like, yo, fuck him up, and then bro, they would just kick the shit out of each other,
That's
and then
crazy.
get pissed off afterwards, like, yo, you held that choke too long, and then they'd go at it again, bro. It's fucking amazing.
It's like the Brands
Yeah.
brothers.
Yeah.
Those guys were
Animals,
psychos, dude. Yeah, that's what's different about like having siblings and being competitive in sports. I feel like there's like an extra slice to the onion of your family.
Yeah.
Because like we were always super close, but we traveled all over the country together wrestling in tournaments.
cool.
We were always in each other's corners.
That's
And
awesome.
like even though it was a competition, like fuck, he did better than me at that tournament or whatever. We were never competing
It's like
against each
motivating,
other.
if anything.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like fuck, I can't like get all the shine.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, damn, like everybody's like, man, Colin's the best. Like he was beating kids like David Taylor and
Right,
Logan
right,
Stieber.
yeah.
Like he was the best kid to come into high school as a young kid, and probably would have been one of the best high school wrestlers if like as he got older through high school, he just didn't care because nobody could compete with him.
I feel like when you're competing in the same household, you compete. You're like mom and dad are watching this shit. We want to see who's Todd Frazier talks about competing. He said everything in their house was competitive. Ping pong, they'd fucking break the ping pong table. Playing each other so aggressively.
Yeah,
because they were all athletes.
Yeah.
And I think if you grow up in that type of family, which I did not, it drives you, it motivates you. And,
it does.
There's probably no competitive level like competing against your sibling. You know what I mean? It's on a different level.
yeah.
So
it definitely changes it because there's you don't go home.
right.
You know what I mean? Like you could lose a match and go home from it, but
And then you got to go eat dinner with your brother, being like, "I beat you, motherfucker."
exactly. That's the thing is like when you're at home and you're competing for every little thing.
Right.
Like even if it was video games, like we'd be playing on PlayStation 1, and if somebody won on Blitz or NHL hockey or something, like we're beating the shit out of each other in the living room.
yeah.
My mom's yelling and telling her like calling my dad on the phone because he's at work and he's like, I'm gonna beat your guy's ass when I get home. Like
his dad's fucking the man. Wayne the Pain, bro.
He's a nut.
If there were fans,
More nutty
if there
than
were
your
fans,
dad?
oh fuck,
Really?
I
Dude,
mean,
this guy's in his
Big
own.
Frank is
my dad's
fucking on another level.
He's
intense.
His dad's fucking takes the cake. I think he's like a wild man too. Like
You got the mouth like Frank.
Yeah, he does.
Motherfucker, fucking.
Oh,
fuck.
dude.
But yeah, you would hear him 100%.
Yeah.
on
That's
the
awesome.
broadcast.
I think that's the biggest difference of not having fans is
You can have everything.
not having
right?
my dad
Yeah.
yelling.
Yeah.
Because even since I was a little kid, like every tournament, he was in my corner all the way up till high school too. But every match I was at,
in high
he was
school,
there.
He's fucking yelling.
Yeah,
Hell
yelling from the stands.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I wrestled Frank Molinaro at Ohio State my senior year when we wrestled Penn State, and he was like the guy ranked right below me at the time. And I took him down at the edge of the mat in the first period, and we had a good scramble. We were wrestling all the way to the edge. I slammed him on the mat on the edge of the mat, and I got two. And I turned around to walk back to the center, and my dad was standing there screaming at me in my face.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, dude, go fucking sit down, dude. Like he went under the ropes and got on the mat, and he was so like just dripping sweat, like
That's awesome.
super red, all intense. Like he was a different level. Like, I mean, he's still super intense, but I think now like he's like 65 or 70 days sober now. So I'm interested to see if he how
turns
different.
down a little bit,
Because
yeah.
I know he still gets super anxious because he even told me before my last fight, he's like, man, this is the first fight I'm going to watch if you're sober, and I'm more nervous, I think. I'm like, no, you're just like clear-minded, so you're actually like,
see what's at stake here. A little
yeah,
more,
your heart's not about to pop out of your
Right,
chest
right.
this time. Like, it's like there's a big difference there, and he's like, I'm always going to get nervous when you compete, no matter what drugs or alcohol I don't have in my system. He's like, but it was just different because I was able to actually like enjoy the fight even though I was nervous. And I was like, that's like interesting to hear because you don't really think of it like that.
Right.
Like every fight that I've ever been in, he's been intoxicated or fucked up on some drugs. So it's like
really?
he was never like, he was always there physically, but who knows where he was at mentally. Like he was probably just in a daze.
Right.
So he's like functioning then, because you hear the story a lot, and dads will be absent or come in and out. But it sounds like he's always been in your life then.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome,
dude. He's always been our biggest supporter, biggest fan. Like we butt heads a lot because we're like-minded in certain things, but outside of that, like he's always in my corner. Like
I mean, he's the guy that he pushed him and his brother right to the max.
Yeah, he's the reason.
There's a documentary on what's on Amazon?
Yeah, it's called Pinned Movie.
I gotta watch this shit.
Yeah,
no shit. Wow.
Dude, it was from my senior year of high school.
Love documentaries, so I'm gonna definitely watch that.
It's actually done really well. It was a dude who was doing his master's for film or something, and he filmed my senior year of high school, and my brother was a freshman that year, so it worked out to be that we were both. Yeah. I was going for my fourth, and he was going for his first, and so it was really cool how it was set up. But my dad's in there, and like he talks a lot about just the way that he pushed us, and I talk to him sometimes. I'm like, have you ever watched Pinned now, and like listen to yourself talk? That was the old you. That was before you got crazy with everything else. Right. And he's like, you know what? You're right. He's like, I need to go back and watch that and just like see what I was like, because that was a whole different lifestyle. Like that was a whole different life for him, because he put everything into us. Right. And then when we went to college, he was like kind of lost a little bit, because he literally sacrificed so much of his life and things that he could have been doing to make us basically who we are. Yeah. So it was it's pretty cool to see, because now that he's sober, it's like he realizes all this shit that he didn't really think about before. So but yeah, he's definitely he's still
that out, guys. I'm gonna check it out. Pinned on Netflix.
It's either on Amazon Prime or something. It's like, I think you can get it for like $1.99 on Amazon.
I'll be checking that out, man.
But you're gonna have a daughter, but if she competes, you're gonna know. I have kids now. It's when your teammates fight and stuff, you're nervous, but when your kid goes at it, dude, jeez. And I will eat a gummy sometimes. I eat a gummy, and it don't fucking matter, because as soon as he starts to wrestle, it's like boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah. It's like the gummy disappears. You know what I'm saying?
Well, dude, that's kind of what scares me about it, of her competing in whatever, even if it's like when she's 4 years old or in gymnastics or some shit. I'm going to be like, when Colin used to wrestle, I would get so nervous for his matches, because I knew how good he was, and I'd be like, man, if he loses, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, and I would get more nervous for his than my own. Yeah. Like you know how when someone else competes, you're way more nervous than your own.
There's nothing you can do.
Well, not for nothing, but I'm sure when your kid wrestles, all the other dads want their kid to beat Frank Yeager's kid.
Yeah, for sure. That makes me even more nervous. That makes me want to fight every fucking dad. Listen, you fucking dumpy little motherfucker. Me and you are going next.
Yeah, he may have beat my kid, but I'll beat your fucking ass. I know exactly, like, I've already thought of this once I had my daughter. I was like, fuck, what sport? Like, if she does a sport, what's she going to do? Or, like, is she going to do something that's like, I just hate sports with judging.
Right.
Like, it's so hard. Like, gymnastics, obviously, we were all boys growing up.
It's more of an individual sport. My daughter did that for a brief period of time, and now she's all about cheer, which is more of a group thing, and she loves it. And I never thought I'd be a cheer dad, but here I am, a fucking cheer dad now. So yeah.
But that's cool though. That's like the polar opposites of like being a boy dad and then being a girl dad. Because before we even thought about having kids, I was like, man, I want at least one boy.
Yep.
And the first one is a girl, obviously, but I'm like, now it's completely different thought process of like I don't even care about her competing in anything. Yeah. I just want her to do something she loves or be good at something.
That's what you want them to be, to find something they're passionate about.
Exactly.
Right? That's what it is,
Yep.
And like my oldest, he's into his friends, Yeah. And that's cool. He's got a good social life. He does wrestle a little bit. He plays baseball, but he's not like fucking gung ho for anything.
Yeah.
And then my middle guy, he's fucking all in.
Heck yeah.
He wants to wrestle. He wants to fucking fight. He likes to hit pads. He loves it all.
Yeah.
And then my daughter, she's kind of like in between both of them. Like she's athletic and shit, but if we didn't tell her to do anything, she wouldn't do shit.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm cool. I don't know if she's like a fucking flower child or something,
Well, that's why.
She does run like a flower. She reminds a little bit of a hippie,
That's awesome.
And I'm like, damn, it could be from me. It could be from me. But now she's doing gymnastics. She does jiu-jitsu a little bit too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mix and stuff. So, a little something.
It's cool just to get them into something, because if they don't take to it right away or even take to it at all, at least you tried.
Right.
And at least they tried something.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like
You just got to keep throwing stuff at them.
Exactly.
And push them. You can't just be like, you can't make it easier for them to quit.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to quit. Especially the kids, kids are all soft today. Even my kids, I'll say it.
But like my older one, man, he wrestled for a little bit, then he didn't. You can't force someone to wrestle.
Right.
yeah,
You know what
dude,
I mean?
it's the hardest.
So
sport.
I'm like,
you
all
can't,
right.
you can't force them, but you can push them a little bit. You
Yeah,
gotta.
no. So I was like, all right, for a couple years he didn't wrestle. Then I'm like, you got, dude, we got to do something. Like, listen, this is like, I feel like I'm a fucking ninja or samurai. You got to pass on your fucking this art to your kids. Like, you have to. Like, how the fuck can we not pass on what we know to our kids? I'm like, listen, you're gonna go to wrestling. You don't have to compete at all. You're going to practice. You consider it as a workout. You're going to work out. So he did it, and then he went to middle school. He's like, oh, I'm going to wrestle for the team. I'm like, all right, cool. So now he got some friends doing it, so we got him back into it. But yeah, you got to make the kids have to want to do it.
I think Renee posted something recently. He looked good, man.
Yeah, he did all right. He's been around wrestling his whole fuking life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, he definitely knows it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
But like, I'll go. Sometimes we'll be at practice. I'm gonna put him on blast on this thing, and like, bro, I feel like sometimes like, bro, you're not trying, dude. Come on, like that fucking drives me nuts.
Yeah,
drives me nuts.
Yeah, because I feel like if you have that mentality of like you're gonna win every takedown, even in practice, like that's just the way your mind works.
But and then I see him on his match, and you could tell he wants to win. I'm like, bro, if you wrestled like that in practice, you know how much quicker you would get better. You know, like oh my god.
You guys are you're programmed like that, and it has served you well in your lives. You made careers out of it.
Well, I was like him too. I started wrestling in 7th
grade,
grade, and I fucking won like 5 matches my first year.
I think,
but by my freshman year, I was fucking made the varsity team, and I was a player. You know what I mean? Like you could. That's what was great. I mean, all sports, every sport really, but especially wrestling. I mean, just because we have personal experience, you could see yourself getting better quickly.
But because that mentality has worked so well for you guys, you made careers out of it. You made living. I think because it served you so well, you want to hand that, like you said, to your children, and
sure.
Not that they have to be a UFC fighter or the next, but that mentality is going to serve them well throughout their life. In anything.
Yeah.
So
that mentality is definitely. It can't be taught though,
right?
Because this is I don't compare my brother and I, but we are opposites in that aspect and a lot of other things too. Is he was so naturally gifted at what he did, and I wasn't. But I had the work ethic to where I'll do whatever it takes to get whatever's at the end of the road. And he was like, like he's still like he doesn't care, like relationships, like whatever he does, he's just like he's the most like easygoing, like doesn't care less, like he jokes about stuff, and it's like, dude, like it pisses me off because of my mentality. I'm like, dude, you gotta give a fuck.
Isn't it weird? 2 kids raising the exact same parents,
same exact house.
And, my kids are different in so many ways I couldn't even describe. I mean, boy and girl too, but you got 2 boys, completely different. It's crazy. Raised by the same parents. It's not like the rule sets change. Like I'm going to be easy on this kid. Frankie yells at them all. So
I
do.
It's like that too, though. I think that and that's what I think that's the main thing I started thinking about too for my daughter is like. My wife is really driven. I'm really driven. But is she going to get like a gene that is just like, I don't know. Yeah, like you won't find out till they're older, but it's like I'm interested to see because obviously like I want the best for her, but you can't just make her be a certain way. Like your kid's gonna be what
and just because we're successful being the way we are doesn't mean you can't be a different way and be successful.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different avenues that they can take, and I mean nowadays the world is so different. I mean you can make millions of dollars being a social media personality. Or like YouTube kid. Like there's kids opening boxes of toys on YouTube.
Ryan's world, bro.
My kids don't watch.
Made like $8 million last year or something like that.
Holy
Crazy.
My kids don't watch TV. Like, we grew up watching TV. They fucking watch YouTube.
Yeah, my kids too.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
But you were talking about having a daughter first, I obviously you probably wanted a boy because what you do and stuff. Not that you didn't want a girl at some point in time, but I thought the same way because I'm the last. My last name is Matthews, and I'm the last Matthews in my family that could carry on the generation. You know, so my cousin's probably too old at this point to have Matthew.
Be Matthew then.
And everybody
It'd be just Matthew.
Everybody, Frankie with the humor. So when we were trying, I was like, it'd be great if we had a boy, and that way, like he can carry on the family lineage, the family name or whatever. And we had a girl, and as soon as I locked onto her eyes, and so I didn't give. I was like, listen, I don't come from a fucking great line of scholars anyway. Who gives a shit if the Matthews family dies, you know?
Yeah.
So, but then we ended up having a boy after that, so it all worked out. So Grayson's got all the pressure on him now, and it's all off me. So, yeah.
Yeah, having a girl was definitely. Honestly, I think it's still every day is still kicking in because I was gone basically 2 weeks after she was born. I was out of town for training camp all the way up until my fight. Mm-hmm. And so the first real time I got to hang out with her was after my fight last week, the entire week when I got home. And just like now she's 11 weeks old, so she actually she knows my face, my voice, like smiles when I talk to her, and like knows her hand movements and feet. I'm like, dude, this is insane that I have a kid.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a daughter, so you just have that different place in your heart. So I'm like, I haven't had a boy yet, so I don't know how different it is to have a boy, but to have a girl is like, man, this is wild. Yeah. Like she's just like a little person that you made. And every time I look at her, like my wife's all pissed. She's like, man, we had a girl. I literally did all the work. I carried this girl, popped her out, and she looks just like you. I was like, dude, she just calls us the twins. Like, I'll hold her like this and walk around the house, and she just like smiles and looks just like me, big blue eyes.
Babies really like infants. They poop and sleep, man. They don't do much, but you're getting to the phase where now they're starting. They become, So it's
she
cool.
is starting to get cool. At first, I was like, dude, this is brutal.
They just want mom too. They want a boob. They want to, they want to be nurtured. They can't do much. But then, like you said, they're starting to get to the age now where they'll look at you and
they recognize
have interactions, and it's really cool. And it's all about first.
Yeah.
Once they start crawling, you're probably not there yet, but once they start crawling, it's not long before they're walking. You come home from work and you're like, holy shit, my kid's walking. It's cool.
That's
and now
crazy.
Now my kids' teeth are starting to fall out and shit. It's like, it's cool, man.
That is wild.
My
it's
kids
a whole
getting
different.
picked up by the cops now.
Yeah. Frankie's got teenagers.
Hell yeah.
Fucking jerking off all over the house, getting arrested at the park.
Well, come on, that's a little much, bro. Jeez.
That's what I did when I was a teenager.
Well, you jerked all over the house? Jeez. Your dad listens to this too. He doesn't live in that same house, does he?
My dad is more.
He doesn't live in that same house, does he?
My dad is.
Same
don't use the sock drawer. Don't use the sock drawer. My dad's more concerned with your swearing.
I have a fucking crazy stuff.
I just said my dad's more concerned with you swearing. My dad listens to the podcast, and he goes out to our cabin on the lake, and he'll just sit by the fire and listen to it. And he'll text me, "Can you guys stop swearing so much?" And Frankie's fucking dropping the F-bombs.
This guy. I'm not going to say who, but they were young kids when I was older. And I remember being, where was my redshirt year? We watched Cal Sanderson. I went to Nationals.
Yeah.
Watched Cal Sanderson win his fucking fourth one,
damn.
whatever. I had some teammates that were wrestling. That was my redshirt year. And I remember there were some young kids from Tom's. I'm not going to say who they were. And they were at the hotel, right? And they were fucking watching pornos, right? And they were seeing who could jerk off the most in a draw
in front of each other.
No, I don't know. Like,
oh my god,
bro! This one kid supposedly got 9 times.
No way.
9 times. Like, this guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh god.
That dude was probably all shriveled up on the couch in there, just
God.
like somebody had to carry him out.
Imagine him peeing. Oh jeez.
Pissing all over the place.
The whole bathroom.
Yeah, that's bad.
Was it Jesse?
No, Jesse.
That's hilarious.
We have another, but internalizes his nuts.
How?
He's very spiritual. He's very spiritual. I don't think. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not like it's the euphoric feeling of the brain that he's talking about, like internal.
He
doesn't come inside of himself. Like
what do you mean? He comes, but he does. Nothing comes out.
Right, nothing comes out exactly. But he somehow mimics the feeling of it by with breathing. Essentially,
he's going.
He
spits it out.
I don't know exactly, Lance. I know. Listen, you're here for a few months. And you're staying at Frankie's condo. Go try to internalize all over that place.
That 17-day quarantine, you might be able to fucking figure it out.
He's doing the Wim Hof method just to come out of his
jerk off
mouth.
in all of his drawers over there.
The Russians probably already did that for us.
Oh yeah.
Cars, man. Let's talk cars for a minute. I follow you on Instagram, bro, and you got some dope ass rides, and I hear you just got a new one.
I did. You
got one of my favorite vehicles, bro. You got the Trackhawk. That thing is so sick. You actually got 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got 2.
Well, no, I have one Trackhawk, but
you got the Red Eye, right?
Yeah, the Red Eye.
Yeah.
The Red Eye is probably I would say if I had to rank them, like for the Mopars, the Trackhawk is by far the most versatile vehicle.
It's such a sick
Just because it's an SUV with
700
crazy power.
horsepower stock. And yours is now what?
It's probably going to be 1,100.
The Trackhawk?
It should be done this week.
Wow.
Insane.
I just had like
Now, is that you doing internals on it, or is that mostly bolt-on shit?
like
Internal shit?
I had the transmission rebuilt and I had the supercharger ported. I actually put a Demon supercharger on the Trackhawk. So like the Dodge Demon blower, it's a little bigger. So I put that on, had it ported, and different pulleys and bigger fuel system. And like he rode in it when I had it at like 900 horsepower, and it was already fast.
Insane,
It's like,
bro.
dude, it's adding 200 horsepower. And they already ran everything for nitrous, but then we had the baby, because this has been like a year-long build.
Yeah.
And I had the baby, and I text my buddy who he does the whole build, and he's like, because with COVID, all machine parts took forever. Like, this has been a year
I
long,
don't
dude.
get it. That's another thing I think is a fucking
Oh, it's all
gimmick.
Yeah, it's a joke,
Everybody,
dude.
everything's crazy. Like, how the fuck is everything crazy?
Lumber's like 10
Well,
times
but
the price.
I don't understand that. I've been seeing lately. That's the big thing I've been seeing on Instagram. Guys that own lumber mills, right?
Yeah.
And they're just cranking out the wood, and they're like, I don't understand why there's a shortage of wood, because we're putting out so many board feet every day, and that's what we've been putting out for as long as we've been in business.
Yeah.
So I don't get it either, but
Dude, it's crazy.
seems like the opportunity to drive prices up on a lot of things.
for
you know
sure.
what I mean? And
Because
just
they know
use
everything's getting back to normal, and people have to buy that
right.
stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's
fucking
crazy.
A piece of plywood is like $45 now. or
Yeah,
something.
they
It's
used to be like
insane.
$10
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So anyway, sorry, we got off the side tangent. The the Trackhawk, man. I think the difference with that is because you were saying before.
Yeah,
So many people I see. My buddy's got a vet with like 1,200 horsepower, but it's still rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
The real struggle comes with laying the traction down on the pavement.
Yeah.
When you got an all-wheel drive car, that makes a big difference, man. Your hookup
Is your
is
tire
insane,
spin still on all wheel though?
yeah,
Yeah, right. If they
yeah.
both,
I'd have to put
all
different
four
tires
spin?
on. Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'd have to put different tires on. Like I actually, so for I'll talk about the other car in a second, but I actually just got a bunch of new tires, and they're like the tires are super soft. So putting them on I have them for the Trackhawk, but if I put them on there, you can't drive it in the rain. And then you can't drive it like every day, or it'll just like wear them out because they're like track tires basically.
Yeah.
But they hook way better because they get hotter faster, and then you don't spin as much. But like it's a violent SUV.
Now, when you
It
take
really
when
is.
you take it to track quarter mile,
Yep.
all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
What is it? What did Trackhawk run?
the Trackhawk runs high nines. It's like 980.
That's well, you don't know what it does now, right? Because you haven't got it back.
Yeah, I haven't. It was 980.
What is
when
that
when
like
it
0 to
was
60? Like what is that? Like
3, or no, not 3. 0 to 60. Well, 60 foot is like 1.7 seconds. And so, I don't know, 0 to 60 ET, probably 2.7 or something.
wow.
Maybe 3 seconds. I don't know. It all just depends like on your launch and how it takes off and your tires. Like,
Weather conditions,
Yeah.
track temperature, that all makes a difference. But
yeah, like the Hellcat Red Eye, I have a 17-inch wheel on it, a beadlock with just like track slicks. And so I'll put those on when I go to the track because that's only rear-wheel drive. That has to hook up a certain way, or you're just gonna spin down the track.
For the
Hellcat, yeah. So that one's actually more fun to launch down the track, but it's more technical in the way of like you have to control the spin and you have to control your launch.
So you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
You want to stay like it where it can still.
Yeah, like
catch
I can't really power brake it at anything over 1,500 RPMs before I let off, or else it'll just spin.
Yeah.
Like,
you're
dude,
right.
that thing will spin the tires no matter what kind of slicks are on it. It's crazy because that one's only, I think it's
more of a driver's
930
car,
wheel.
when you're those rear wheel cars. I mean,
Yeah.
you really have to drive them. I'm not saying that all wheel drives are idiot proof, but they're generally
They're a lot
speaking,
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt. They're a lot easier to use. The rear-wheel drive of the Hellcat, that was the first one I've ever had. Like, growing up, I always had, like, I had an Eagle Talon in high school. It was like an old-ass all-wheel drive turbo.
yeah.
And it was cool, but it was like, dude, it was super old and beat up, and it was my very first car. And I was like, man, this thing's cool, but it was all beat up, so I never
you kind
really.
of always were a car guy then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what I really wanted was a Subaru WRX STI when I was in high school, because it was only a 4-cylinder, but it was a turbo, and it was like I had buddies who had the STI, and 300 horsepower is like, for a car that little, 300 horsepower was super fast. Yeah. So I always wanted one of those and never got one. Yeah. And then I had a regular WRX like probably right after college, and I did some stuff to it, and it was like 400 horsepower with just like upgraded bolt-on stuff, like bolt-on turbo and fuel stuff and E85 tune and just different things. So I kind of just kept like upgrading as I went on, and the Trackhawk was like my first big purchase for a vehicle, and it actually was because we were at the end of the 2018 season. It was December, and I was in Vegas training at the time, and my CPA was like, we need a purchase, like win or lose for this fight, you've already made enough money this year where you need to purchase something to help you. Yeah. And he was like, do you like cars? I was like, dude, you're talking to the wrong guy. Like, I was at the dealership looking at it, and he was like, well, it's got to weigh this much to be a complete business write-off and all this other stuff. And I was
really?
Like,
there's a weight? Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
It has to be like 6,000 or 5,000 pounds or more or something. Yeah.
So you can't go. You wanted the smart car bad, but you opted not to get it.
Yeah. So you basically have to, like, I was looking around for SUVs, and there was like, Ali was like, dude, you should get the SUV that I have. It's like a basically an SUV coupe, the Mercedes GL something.
AMG.
Yeah. So I was looking at it, and I was like, man, this thing's okay, because it's a V8 twin turbo, and it
some balls.
Yeah, it had some balls. And then I was like, my buddy was like, dude, you need to look at a Jeep Trackhawk, and I was like, all right,
like man. There's nothing like it.
I left the Mercedes.
I never knew they
dealership.
existed till you had one.
Really?
I mean, I knew they had the SRT, but the Trackhawk, holy shit. I seen it has the same, like the Trackhawk it's in that red little emblem.
Yeah.
I seen like,
well,
what's a
Trailhawk.
That's not fast.
That's like the that's like an off-road Jeep.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You see Dodge is
I see that thing pull next to me. I'm like, yo, this thing fucking got balls? I don't know.
It's either out now or it's a it's a car that's going to come out, but Dodge is putting a minivan out with the fucking Hellcat motor.
Dude, I heard about it.
You seen that thing?
Isn't it a Chrysler Pacifica?
It looks dope as hell, bro.
I think it's a Chrysler Pacifica.
Can you imagine going to the grocery store and that fucking
with like a wide body?
See, this would be perfect when
minivan.
we have the TV. You can pull this all this up.
Yeah.
It's coming soon, guys. We're making some upgrades in here. So Frankie needs another win bonus. We're gonna fucking.
Roger needs a fucking what's it called? Dad bod. Fucking fucking what is it called? Right, the dad bod thing.
Boom bod.
Oh, boom bod. He needs another boom bod fucking advertisement.
That is awesome.
Dick, what a dick.
So I want to know. Hopefully, if you bring it here, I gotta fucking go in it. Is the fucking Huracan?
Yeah,
that shit's so
dude,
dope.
I don't think I'll fit in it.
Dude, I had one of my buddies in it. He's like 300 pounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was tight in there, but you would definitely fit.
Sweet. Well,
be
listen,
fun.
you said it now. You got to take me for a ride.
Yeah, you're going to be stuck in the seat regardless.
Hell yeah,
dude,
I bet.
So, since I was a little kid, I still have it to this day. I wish I had a picture of it, but I made like Hobby Town or Hobby Lobby, you could like build cars.
Yeah,
like
cars.
glue cars and
yeah,
stuff?
like glue it together. You could paint everything in it. So I built a Lamborghini Countach.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And it was like, I made like the tan interior. It was like a yellow car. I like silver wheels, everything. And I built this thing. And in my room, I had a couple, like a Hummer and a couple other cars that I had built. But the Lamborghini was always my favorite car. And when I was that young, it was a Lamborghini Diablo that was actually my favorite. And as I got older, obviously they changed a lot, like the Aventador, the Huracan, the Murcielago, like all these cars. And I was just like, the Gallardo. I was like, man, I really want a Lamborghini at some point in my life, but obviously it was never feasible or even an option. And then after I won the first season, my wife was like, you don't need a Lamborghini. Like, you just bought this Trackhawk. I was like, all right, cool. So then, like, 2 weeks later, the Red Eye showed up. And she's like, what the hell is this? I was like, dude, I ordered this, like, 8 months ago, and it just showed up. And that was, like, during the 2018 season, but I had to buy the Trackhawk for tax.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
Dude, I could go on and on for that stuff, because when I bought the Trackhawk, it had temp tags on it, and she came out to Vegas to visit me. I was like, oh, this is a rental. She's like, oh, really? with temp tags. Like, what kind of rental company uses temp tags? I was like, all right, I bought it, but our CPA told me that I had to buy
She's
something.
onto your savvy ways.
Yeah, she was like, she was so pissed, and I literally had to have my CPA call and be like, "This is why we did it." Like, and she was like, "Well, are you gonna sell your truck? Are you gonna sell this?" I'm like, "Dude, just relax." Like, it worked out, and so after
she's the sensible one.
Oh,
Right,
100%.
right.
She's like,
You get punched in the face, she makes the decision.
exactly. She's the one that's eventually going to be wiping my ass and changing my diaper, so she gets to at least have a little bit of say. And so I got the Hellcat Red Eye in January of that, like basically a month after the Trackhawk. So I was like, oh fuck, I had like a Ram 1500 at the time, and then I had the Trackhawk, and she had a Jeep Wrangler that I had bought for like a few months before that. So she was all pissed off, like, where are you going to put all these cars? And I have a shop for my landscape business, so I was like, oh, I'll just keep the Hellcat over there, which I basically hid there for like 2 months before she knew I had it anyway. And so I was like, fuck. And so the 2019 season, I was just like,
she's not looking at the car insurance bill. Like, why is it $12,000
I
a
pay it.
month?
That's what I was saying. Like, I pay for all this shit, so she doesn't even see it.
Right.
Like, and that was the biggest thing is I was like, babe, I'm paying for all this
Frankie
stuff, so
hasn't
don't worry
seen
about
a bill.
it.
Frankie hasn't written a check for a bill in about 17 years.
See, there's a good thing for that and a
He's
bad
like,
thing.
she could be
'cause I don't.
she could be robbing me fucking blind.
Exactly.
I never know.
Probably is. That's a big setup.
She's
Yeah.
buying a house with Mark Wahlberg in the island.
Because that's the thing with my wife is she's super frugal, but she likes to buy shit. Like, dude, every day there's Amazon packages
dude,
and
kidding
like
me?
clothes and like Target runs. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And like, luckily, she's a dental hygienist. She makes good money. She has her own money anyway. And if she ever needs money for anything, I just, how much do you need? I just give it to her. But I would be afraid of like, oh shit, this much money's in there right now. Like, what can we get? Like, because that's what I do. I'm like, oh fuck. And so she would probably tone it down a little bit for me if we had, because basically I just keep my fight money in the business account for that, and she has her own, like, she trains clients and stuff for fitness and stuff like that. So we try and keep all of our S corps and LLCs separate. So that's kind of why, like, she's always like, so what are we buying this year? What are we doing this time? I'm like, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. And we get to, like, obviously with the pandemic, I didn't fight all year, but the landscape business was doing really well with like hardscapes and installs and just a lot of different stuff was going on, and the real estate lending was doing well because banks weren't lending to people who were trying to do flips or renovations. So all that stuff was doing well at the time. So I was like, all right, well, I'm still making good money, and the other money I can still sit on. And I got to like, I could probably go back to like January 2020 is when I started first looking, and I wanted a Huracan Performante at first. And one of my buddies who owns Royalty Exotics in Vegas, he's like, dude, the Huracan Evo is a way better car, 4-wheel steering, the new screen setup on the front, like everything is new.
Wait, 4-wheel steering?
Yeah, so the rear wheels will turn a little bit when you turn the front. Yeah. So like monster truck kind of
on turns.
Dude, the handling is like you're glued to the road. It's insane.
That is insane.
And it's all-wheel drive. So it was like all year long.
I thought you misspoke. I'm like, no, you meant all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
All-wheel steering.
All-wheel steering and all-wheel
Wow.
drive. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
Take
it's
it on the
all
snow.
electronic. Dude, I was like,
Remember when Bam Margera did that on his show? Took
Yeah.
the thing up in the fucking Alps mountains
Dude.
or something?
There's a guy named he's called the Stradman on Instagram. He has like a Bugatti and a Aventador. He lives in Utah of all places. And he had his Aventador on, you know how in like a Can-Am you could put the tracks on it?
Yeah, the snow tracks.
Dude, he
yeah,
put snow
yeah.
tracks on an Aventador and was driving it in the
Yeah.
snow. I was like,
Wow.
this guy's a
That's wild.
psychopath.
There's a dude I follow on YouTube. He's got a really popular YouTube, and I can't think of his name. He looks like the Diesel Brothers guy with the big beard.
Oh,
But
really?
he puts tracks on everything. Put one on a Tesla, fucking snow
That's
track.
insane.
Yeah, it's incredible how much revenue you can generate if you get a popular YouTube channel. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
just doing crazy shit.
Like, whether it be toy reviews or builds or, it's crazy.
I feel like it's such a, like, it's not even a niche market because there's so many different avenues you can take
Yeah.
because people are interested in all different things.
Right.
So it could be like, you could do like a weekly whiskey review or
Right,
bourbon
right,
or
right.
like cigars, like, and people would tune into it. And it's just like, you have to find what you would be interested in that people would like to watch. Because I mean, there's so much stuff. like you see it when you're searching through, and you're like, dude, who the fuck would watch this? It's got a million views. You're like,
Roger just knows no one's into watching him oil dudes up. You know what I'm saying? He's like, who's into that? Who's into watching that? I bet you there is
Dude, there's a fucking
there's probably
market.
a market for that.
I don't know about watching
That's
it, but
more-
you were into having it done to you. I know that.
What are you saying? You fucking oiled me up? Are you telling everybody you oiled me up? Is that what you're saying?
Upon request.
Is that what
You
you're
asked-
saying?
You must have asked me 45 times before I caved.
see, dude, if you guys would have filmed that and put it on OnlyFans,
Yeah.
you guys would be
Yeah,
rolling
we
in
are.
money.
Bro,
Yeah.
Diego Sanchez has an OnlyFans. I just fucking saw this. But
No way.
Because I started following him with all the controversy with his manager and shit. I
Yeah.
was like,
Not
let
his
me.
manager, his like trainer.
Okay.
That dude's a
That guy's
fucking
really
Yeah, I think
weird.
he's killing him, but whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of controversy, UFC, fucking terminated his last fight and all this. So I was like, let me fucking. So I started following this, and I see OnlyFans, but it says above it for only non-sexual content. So I'm like, how do you have an OnlyFans with no sexual content?
Yeah, like what is he?
I guess it's like, because he's a pretty religious guy, so
Yeah.
obviously he's not going to fucking be like jerking off in the corner. But I guess it's just like a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and probably people are fucking tuning in because I'm
For
sure he's
sure.
talking about like what's going on.
Especially now, I feel like
why don't
it's
you guys
more
weigh in on
popular
that
now.
as fighters? What do you guys think of that? You think it's all his trainer? I thought it was his manager, but you think that guy is the one that's kind of like,
Well, I just seen the
fucked him?
video. The videos I seen where the trainers in the back with the doing the fighter meetings,
Yeah.
with like the commentators and stuff like that, and like he's arguing with Megan and fucking
He got
Paul
into it.
Felder,
He got into it with Matt Serra.
and he got into it with Matt Serra. He's,
Yep.
He's an attention whore. This guy.
Right.
It is
and
weird.
Diego's, I don't know. I don't say nothing for Diego. He's a fucking great dude. Every
Yeah.
time I see him, he's super nice. I think he's a fucking legend.
He is legend.
But I don't know, if he's is everything's all there for him, because like, how could you let this dude do this to you?
Yeah.
You let someone do that to you? Fuck that. I would have
No.
smacked the fuck out of this guy already.
Well, that's the thing is I think he was already in a compromised mental state in a way for that guy to be able to control. Because I feel like that guy's a control freak, and he's trying to manipulate him.
Yeah,
and
right.
he's put him in this position in a way because he's not stable enough mentally to make his own decisions the way that he probably could if he, I don't know.
So to bring the audience up to speed, and correct me, you guys probably know more than me, but he had a scheduled bout with Cowboy Cerrone, right? Mm-hmm. And from the way I heard it, he requested his medical records because it was going to be
that guy
the guy.
requested-
I call him his manager, his trainer, whatever.
yeah, whatever.
Requested his medical records,
His it's actually his like
portfolio.
his fucking yogi.
Yogi,
Or something.
okay.
Right?
It's something weird,
Something,
dude. I don't
yeah.
know what's up with those two.
So upon that request, and knowing, I guess the UFC suspected maybe there could be a lawsuit coming, with a CTI.
I don't know.
or
I don't even
whatever.
know if that would.
So they sent him an email saying essentially,
CTI. So like
sorry, TBI,
TV.
traumatic brain injury, right?
Yeah,
CTE.
CTE.
Whatever,
CTE is what you were
whatever.
going
Close
for.
enough, buddy. Close enough.
I thought
Let
you
me
were saying,
finish my
yeah,
story.
UTI,
here.
yeah,
You want to tell us?
UTI.
You want to finish? You want to finish?
UTI.
You want to finish?
It
Yeah,
burns
'cause
when he
you're wrong.
pees.
You're kind of wrong.
Okay, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm
yeah.
wrong. Go ahead.
No, so I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but he asked for that these records. Then the UFC's like, listen, can you insure us that there's nothing wrong with Diego? And he pretty much said, no, I can't insure it, and I can't guarantee you that.
Well, I didn't get to that, but yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Keep going.
So,
Keep going.
Yeah, I couldn't guarantee you that. So they're like, all right, well, fucking, we're putting we're not gonna
Well,
risk.
they sent him a letter to sign off on. Are you exerting any conditions of this,
right, and they
this,
wouldn't
this?
sign off on.
And he
it.
wouldn't sign off on it.
Right,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, that's implying like he's got some issues.
according to Diego,
sure.
they gave him 24 hours to sign it, and that's all the time he had. So he said, no, I'm not signing it, and they cut him, right?
But why? I mean, if you don't have any problem, I mean, fuck, you shouldn't fight if you got problems.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's really not.
Maybe this is all a blessing in disguise for Diego.
But does
Yeah.
he have
But
problems?
someone's going to sign him. You know
Does
that.
he have problems, or is it the
I don't know.
possibility that he may develop? Is his thought process? I may develop issues in the future that maybe now are not foreseen. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
anybody could. You could fucking develop fucking problems. That dude hitting you in the fucking club.
Right.
Right?
Right. But you're a little bit different. You work.
I
for an
understand.
entity.
Yeah, how we do it a lot more.
Right.
Yeah, we have a lot more risk.
Constant.
Yeah.
Right. Would you sign that? If they sent you something today saying sign
Yeah.
off on this?
Well, no, what do you mean? Sign off on? Do I know I have nothing wrong with me? Yes, I will sign off on it. I have nothing wrong with me. I could fucking fight. Yes,
Yeah.
I sign off.
No, but was that all it said, or did it say you will never hold us liable ever?
No, I don't think. No, it
I don't
didn't
know
say
if
anything.
they'd-
It was nothing. I didn't see anything like that. It just said tell us.
I didn't actually see anything. I just heard the interpretation of what it
Yeah,
was.
no. Well, no. But the interpretation I seen was that they said they wanted to know if he had any issues, that they were worried about it, and they couldn't guarantee that. So they said, all right, we're not going to fight. Not they're saying you can't hold us liable. The UFC wouldn't be like, we'll let him fight if he has a brain injury because he's not going to hold us liable. Like they wouldn't do that.
No. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Not that he knows about anything currently. That 5 years from now he couldn't develop.
Nobody
something.
can do that.
Yeah.
Fuck you mean? UFC would never make anybody sign that.
Okay.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't see the paperwork, so I don't know what it was. But that I guess it's interpretation.
It's definitely for them to save their ass.
I
on
never heard the
something.
UFC comment on it, so I don't know what it was.
I just think they're like, oh, that's a
I
fucking
just heard
weird
Diego's
question.
take
Hey,
on it.
if I go up to the UFC right now for my next fight, I'm like, I need all my medical information.
But it's his last fight.
Whatever. Okay, it's his last fight. I need all my medical information because it's my last fight. I'm gonna I'm gonna get some stuff looked at.
Yeah.
Okay, and they say, okay, can you ensure that you have nothing that's really dangerous for you to fight with? No, I can't ensure that. Well, you're not fucking fighting. I totally get that.
And
Or at least make him get scanned.
Or say
something.
right, yeah.
I was gonna say he is acting, maybe slightly irrational with some things, but Diego's kind of always acted a little irrational, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's definitely always been. He's always been his
eccentric,
own. Yeah.
right? Remember, Older Fighter 1, man.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a
Well,
different
let's
dude.
establish this now, and I think all three of us agree the dude's a fucking legend. He really
for
is.
sure.
Are you kidding me?
No
Some
question
of his
about that.
fights he's put out, and
Yeah.
the type of fighter he is, man. He dies on his shield every time. Yeah, you got to give it
Yeah.
up
There's
for
no
that guy.
question about it.
Yeah, and
It
he's all
sucks
about
to
it.
see though, because whoever this trainer guy is like he's been like a completely different person outside and inside the cage since this dude's been around, and like thinking that this like he's buying into whatever the fuck this guy's selling
Not only
too.
that, like you said, the guy gets into it with fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Guy was
He's an
chirping.
attention
He was
seeker,
chirping
right?
at Matt
That's my
Serra
thing.
in a
Yeah.
restaurant. Matt's trying to eat, and the dude comes over and he's like, "Yo, I don't appreciate how you talk to me in interviews." Matt's like, "Yo, bro, I don't know who the fuck you are. I like Diego. I got no beef with Diego, but why are you chirping at me? I'm trying to eat dinner here." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Matt, he don't take no shit, but
No,
apparently he's done it with other.
You see him at the PI too, chasing dudes with knives in the cage.
No.
Like, I mean, for training. Like, he wasn't really good. He's like, gotta move. He's like, if I can't get you, pretend like a knife's coming at you. And he's like, all right, everybody. So these dudes, like, honestly, it's like me and you going like this, rolling
Chasing.
around, like, oh, whoa. Right? Then he's like, all right, changing the drill. Everything's a knife. So people are going like this at each other.
my
Dude, the
God.
craziest shit I've ever seen, bro. I'm like, probably, if this dude's coming out with a knife, he's coming at you. I'd
Just crack
hit him
that
from
dude.
behind. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Look out! I got a spork.
Yeah. That's
fucking crazy.
that's a whole different mentality. Like there's
You wonder why he can't, if everybody else can see it. And I read some of the comments under his thing, and like, you know how it is, you guys. We all have haters. Like, just the
dude.
average people and fans are always like, fucking dump this guy. He's a fucking loser. Not that might not be bad advice, but you see dudes with blue check marks next to their name, fucking saying, bro, this
is not
your
good.
trainer's
Yeah,
a fucking
'cause
Rashad Evans.
But
was like,
yeah,
yo, that guy's
but
cancer. Get rid of him.
Diego's a respected dude in the MMA
Right.
world. I mean, he's been around forever, I'm sure, and he's trained with all these guys, and they probably kind of know who he is a little bit. And they're like, dude, you got to take a look at what this guy's doing in your career.
And people care about him.
Right,
Like
yeah.
all the people at Jackson's and stuff, like I'm sure they all care about him because he's been a good teammate, a good fighter, like a good person to all those guys, because I've never heard anything bad about him.
Bro, he's a
never,
good dude.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I never thought he was a bad dude, but he had somebody that was in his facility that he trained with had Down syndrome. And he actually did. I'm sure it was an unsanctioned fight.
I met
but
that kid.
He let him beat him in the ring. That was fucking so cool, man.
Oh yeah, that
It
was
was
awesome.
such
Here's
a-
your shot, Rod.
I'm trying to have a feel good moment, and you're fucking shooting it in the ass. You feel good about yourself?
I tell him every time. I feel fucking excellent every time. Mark, bring your big ass down if better. All right? I just stare up at your ass when you walk in all the time. Make me jealous.
Angry. You're just angry, man. You need counseling. Maybe you're fucking going a little Diego on us.
No.
Dude.
No. When is round 2?
June 10th.
June 10th.
Yep. And this time it's only a 12-day quarantine
Okay,
instead of 17. So we're making strides, and I'll have Juan Archuleta there to like train with and roll with and stuff. So that'll be good. That's another positive to it.
Absolutely.
Is that
So,
in Vegas?
He holds
That's
pads
in
for you and everything.
Atlantic
too,
City again.
Oh, Atlantic City, okay.
Yeah. So it's at the ocean.
Yeah.
And dude, it's like we could go on and on about how dumb it is, but we're in a quarantine, right? And like day 3, day 4, we're like seeing people come out of these rooms on our floor and like, dude, these are regular fucking people. Like, they got regular people staying on our floor. Like, I thought we were supposed to be, like, secluded from everybody. Can't go into the hotel.
Right.
Can't do this or that. But then they got regular people staying on our floors, and we're like, dude, what the fuck is going on? That doesn't even make any sense. So, I mean, there's a lot to it that's really weird.
Overrides all rules.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, the money is the motive all the time. So
Always.
When it comes down to it, like, why even do a 12-day quarantine? You might as well just let us live.
Yeah. I mean, listen, test you. Fucking test it. If you're testing every day anyway, what's the difference they tested the last 4 days?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
or have us take a test 7 days out.
Right.
A test,
that's what they
4
do at
days.
UFC.
Yeah.
You do it. Yeah.
None of it makes
weekend,
sense, man. None of it makes sense. My daughter was at school. She was only 6, but she had a sore throat, so she left. She had to get tested to go back to school. Had to have a clear test. She took a rapid that same day. Rapid was negative. Took the PCR test that same day. Comes back the next day. She was positive, right? So I wasn't that concerned because she's, she's healthy. She's sick. She was basically in no danger, but we were like a little surprised. We're like, oh, wow, she got a positive. That same day, that's a Tuesday, takes another PCR, comes back the next day, negative. So she had a negative, a positive, a negative, and all in 3 days. But for me, I wasn't making this about her. For me, for my work, I was like, shit, what do I do? We got elderly people in the office, so I wanted to do the right thing, even though I wasn't worried about myself at all. I called my boss. He's like, you got to go for a test. You got to go. So I went. I took the rapid. Comes back negative. Right. I made an appointment. It was like a Wednesday. Comes back negative. So I'm like, well, my daughter came back negative too. Do I take the PCR? They said no. Because you had direct exposure anyway, you got to quarantine 14 days. I said, well, what the fuck did I take the test for?
Yeah.
Like, you could have told me that on the phone.
Yeah,
you
wasted all this money for the test when
so
it
made
didn't
no
matter.
sense at all.
None of it does.
So they made you take the test anyway.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And, I don't get it. But
they told us, too, that even though, like, the 48-hour thing of, like, you could be negative but 48 hours later still show something, they were saying that it's 4 days instead of 2.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was their reasoning for the 17 thing was, like, the day that you travel would have been the, like, 18th day or whatever, and then 17 days till the fight. Like, so you have 4 plus 14.
Right.
Because the 14 would basically make you negative by the end of it or whatever. Like,
the numbers are always
still,
changing.
But still,
too.
like we were talking about this, like if someone got positive, they would have a negative before they. What if they're fucking banged up?
Yeah,
and they wouldn't be able. Some people would get this disease and can't train at all.
Yeah,
they don't. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah, like
they're gonna be able to
Hamza,
fight. Yeah.
like dude, you can't train, and they're gonna quarantine you in the room, not even let you go down into the training room because you're positive.
Bananas.
Dude, I'd pack my shit, get in the truck, and go home.
See
dude.
you later.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'll chalk this one up. I'm not sitting here, like, because in all honesty, I think I had it in 2019 in December. And I was out for I tried to train for 4 weeks of that camp. And I was miserable.
It's funny you said that. December of 2019, because I have the antibodies.
Yeah.
When the rapid came back negative, I said to the lady, well, give me the fucking antibodies test then.
Yeah.
Because I think I had it.
Yeah, but I don't think you wouldn't have the antibodies still. For
right.
2019,
so that's what the nurse said. But then I've seen different reports about how long the antibodies stay in your system. I think the nurse said up to 3 months.
Yeah.
And then she's like, but some people, it depends on, the person, can show up to a year. Well, I was over a year, but it's the only time I ever had any symptoms, was ever sick at all, was December of 2019.
Yeah.
So either I never had a single symptom, nothing, or I had it in December 2019, which was the very onset of it, over here. Yeah.
Especially here because the fight was in New York City, so I was back and forth between here and New York City for just promoting. We did a coat drive and then the Knicks game and just a bunch of stuff. So I was around tons of people. And then during that whole time period, there were sparring days where I was like, dude, I couldn't get through a round. I would literally, if there were any exchanges where I had to breathe hard, I'd be like, dude, I'm done. Really? And Mark, he's like, come on, get another round. I was like, dude, I'm fucked up. I've had a cold before. This isn't it.
You had no clue what it was. You just thought cold or something.
Dude, I was taking, what's it called? Zithromice or whatever the hell it is for
Zyrothiamycin.
Yeah, the 5-day thing to get rid of your cold. Z-Pack. I took a Z-Pack and then I was still. Then they put me on another antibiotic. I was like, dude, I was on antibiotics for almost a month, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, man, obviously, that's the $1 million fight. I'm not gonna not fight.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So I just I kept training when I could. I would try and take more days off during the week. Literally just couldn't train. I was miserable. And then the fight week was miserable too. Like, I couldn't sleep. My body was still all fucked up. I came home for Christmas, but it was the week before because we had to report on Christmas. And my wife woke me up because it was like, you know when they draw the dead body on the street? Like, in the bed, I was literally soaking wet of sweat. And I think that's when it broke.
Yeah.
And it was just like, dude, because I've had the flu before, but this thing lasted like 4 weeks. And it wouldn't go away. And she's like, I remember that. Like, she remembers now, like, how bad it was. And it was before anybody knew what it was either. So I was like, I don't know what the fuck it is. It could be a flu. It could be, like, I didn't have bronchitis or anything. Like,
that was well before antibodies were here. I mean, well before vaccines were here for it.
Yeah, it's like
well before.
Dude, I had no idea. So it was a weird time, but every other test, like, I've been tested since probably this time last year, and I've never had an issue with it. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Like, I had it that one time, but I've heard of people who get it more than once.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. It's all fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I was sick when I came back from Singapore. I don't even remember when it was, but this was like April, a couple Aprils ago. Shit. And I was calling it the fucking Asian flu.
The bird flu.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, I got the fucking bird flu.
But when you're over there,
but I'm never sick. I was sick then. I was sick maybe in 2007. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I remember fucking trying to get run again, and I'm like, oh, my fucking chest was killing me.
This whole mask thing over here is new for us. But when you go to Singapore, everybody wears masks over there anyway.
But when I fought in Japan, actually in 2012, I was wearing masks. And dude, that's when they were having the SARS epidemic.
Oh yeah,
and I didn't even know that. And I think I remember Chris was like, "Oh, they actually we came off the plane and they took our temperature in like a group thing."
Oh,
I didn't remember this.
SARS is just basically a different strand of COVID, isn't it?
Yeah, because COVID is SARS-2 or something.
Yeah, SARS V2 or something. Yeah.
It's wild, dude.
Fuck, man. So who's your opponent?
I don't know the opponent yet. I think I'll know this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, because what happens is they basically go back through. They'll have, like, most of the time they'll do winner versus winner, loser versus loser, and it kind of makes the point system more interesting for the playoffs.
Right.
But I don't know. They haven't come out with it yet, and, like, they've gone over a couple different opponents and stuff yet, but I don't know exactly, like, who's going to end up. There's two guys, actually two guys that fought that won't be fighting in this one because of injuries.
Oh, wow.
So
are they putting a replacement for them? Or
I think so. I think they have two replacement guys that will be fighting in their
10
place.
guys in each weight class, right?
Yep.
So,
and it used to be 12. So they used to do 12 in the regular season, then top 8 go to the playoffs. This year, they're not doing a top 8. They're doing a top 4. So they had 10 to start, and then 2 of them got hurt, so there was really only 8. And then half of them won, so there's only 4 that have won so far. So the it's already crazy the way the seasons work. But every season goes like that. There's always something crazy that goes down. I had in 2019, my guy missed weight, so the alternate that filled in was a guy that I had 2 fights against already, and it was our trilogy fight. And so that was like, we had both won a title against each other at one point, and then he was the alternate to get in, and I beat him in the quarterfinals. And so there's always some weird shit that goes down, and then I was supposed to fight Daniel Pineda in the finals of 2019, and he popped for some sort of levels of testosterone or something. So I ended up fighting the guy that I beat in the semis already because he was the second highest ranked guy in the league at the time.
So because of that, do you fight specifically for a fighter, or do you just kind of, because it could change at any moment, or you just kind of do your own training regardless? You don't, specifically fight one style to match up against a fighter because shit changes so much.
It really does. The main difference with the playoffs is you're fighting you're fighting one person first and then one of 2 people after that. So you're basically training for 3 people potentially. But you still have to
But they could have
focus on
completely
yourself.
different fighting styles, right?
Exactly.
One could be a striker, one could be a wrestler,
one could be a
Yeah.
southpaw, one could be a righty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for the quarterfinal, I just focused on, for the playoffs, just focus on that first guy.
Right.
Because if you overlook the first guy, you don't make it to the second guy. So it was mainly just to get through that first opponent and focus on what's next. And I was supposed to fight a Russian dude the first fight. He missed weight by like 3 pounds, so they had the other dude who was the alternate step in. So I was like, okay, I wasn't even planning on fighting this dude. So that was already a weird scenario. But I knew I had already beaten him once. He had already beaten me once. But I knew that I had been excelling and he wasn't. So I knew that I was in a position that I was already better than him anyway. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I just need to fight a smart fight, win this fight, move on to the semis. And for the semifinals, I knew it was one of two of those guys. One I had already fought and was 1-1 with. Yeah. And then the other dude I had beat during the season, but he had put everybody else to sleep. So I knew that it was one of those two. So that season was kind of crazy because I fought that same dude 3 times.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was weird because I wasn't planning on fighting him 3 times.
Yeah.
You were, up until your most recent fight, you had, a 10-fight win streak, right?
11.
11?
Yeah. 2017, March of 2017 was my last loss before that. And so I guess it's like a reset, which is good, but I never really thought about how many wins I was in a row, like a streak.
Right.
And I guess I never thought that way except my very first loss because I was 7-0 and I was like, all right, I got to get to 8-0. I was thinking about.
Well, just undefeated sounds good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you never want to lose, right. But after the first loss, I was more focused on like, all right, I got to get back. I got to get back to work, keep winning. And I had 2 losses throughout that time period in World Series of Fighting, and they were all title fights. So it was never like it was always in a title fight, and it was always a decision. Like I was never getting finished by guys or like getting beat handily. Like the one was a really close decision loss, and the other one I broke my hand in the first round and just fought out the fight, and I just didn't perform my best with one hand and like no grappling basically the whole time, which I'm a heavy grappler. So after that third loss, I was like, okay, that was when I switched it up, and I left Alpha Male in 2017, and then I fought Steven Seiler in 2017 in the fall, right before PFL started, and I ended up beating him in a fight. It was like the last. It was called PFL, but it was before the season format started. It was in Washington D.C. I think Timur fought on that card.
Yeah.
Because I remember him and Mark were there. And after that was when they announced the season of PFL, and then so that was my first fight on that 11-fight streak, and it was cool. It was awesome to be on that streak. I wish it would continue, but it just gives me more motivation to go back out and like get back to it, and just kind of a fresh start now. Is like, look, you get back on the horse and go. You just like wrestling, have a short memory of like. Obviously, there's things I could take from that experience of like, yeah, it's a positive because I still pushed through and still fought, but I don't really think that way. I'm like, a loss is a loss. Like, I didn't fight my best. I know if I fight my best, I win that fight, but there's nothing you can do.
You agree with that, Frankie? Because you said after your last fight, I feel like I could, all of my losses, I could take something away from my last fight against Santa. Again, I really didn't take anything away from it.
No, I did. I took something from it. It was just hard. There's definitely something I took from it. And something we can learn from it in a way, I don't need to share with anybody, but there's something you could always take from it.
For sure.
Whether
it's like for me, it was more the mental thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like actually fighting that I took from that last fight.
It could be the way you mentally prepare. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
It was like the switch didn't flip in that fight, and I knew that was the reason why I wasn't.
On all cylinders.
Yeah, I wasn't in there. Yeah. Like I was in there physically, but not mentally, and. So, I took that and I knew to be aware of it, but I still don't know why. Mm-hmm. So that's a weird thing. Is like I don't want to dwell on it too much because this fight's right around the corner. But at least I know is like, hey, we got to do whatever it takes to flip that switch before the fight. Yep. Whether it's more sparring during this camp to kind of like get in the fight a little bit. I think that could have been some of it too. Is like we were doing a lot of touch sparring and things when I was training with Juan, and not like. Trying to kill each other, but I feel like you need some of those days of where like you're boxing sparring, like you're getting after it with somebody, like somebody if you get rocked, like okay, I got to fight through this. Like that's kind of when you a fight, I feel. For me at least. Like some people don't spar at all, but I feel like I have to, timing and everything.
The best way to get ready for a fight is by fighting.
Same with wrestling. Yeah.
100%.
You got to wrestle to get ready for wrestling, and that's how I feel about fighting is like I feel that maybe amongst other things, I didn't get that like grittiness from going through a full camp of sparring. Like when you're
you get calloused. That's what I say. Kind of
Yeah.
calluses you. You know.
There's no doubt. That's exactly it.
Well, I'm definitely excited to see you back in there to perform at your best. I know what you're capable of. Obviously, he's one of the strongest dudes that I ever rolled with.
Yeah.
This dude's a fucking
You said that
animal,
before,
bro. And yeah, man, I know the ability you have. Fucking 3-time champ. Fucking doing the fucking.
The Bernie, dude.
Bernie dance. You ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
Anyone? He did the fucking Bernie dance. Fucking great, bro. It's so good.
What's your nickname again? The party
The
animal?
party.
That's
Yeah.
the party. The party. That's great, man.
Dude, Mark loved it because he came up and gave me a hug, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Bro, what was that dance?" He's like, "My son said it was the Bernie or something."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, dude." I was like, "I'm not a dancer, but I had to." I was like,
That's
"Fuck
fucking
it."
funny, bro. So
You
good.
gotta have fun in there.
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm just like I'm excited to get back in there right away. I'm glad it's a quick turnaround because I feel like the more you sit and have to dwell on a
Well,
fight,
yeah,
sometimes
dude. Like, that's
it
like
sucks.
doing wrestling, man. You fucking lose a match, you wrestle a match next week.
Yeah.
Or sometimes in the
Or
same
right
tournament.
after, yeah.
and, you get that redemption right away. And for us, it's not that. But in this case, kind of is quick turnaround.
Yeah,
So.
it's nice.
Where can people follow you? Twitter, Instagram.
Twitter and Instagram is at Lance Palmer, and Facebook is Lance Palmer MMA.
What's your OnlyFans?
OnlyFans is at Frankie Edgar.
Roger knows that one already. He's already
I'm a subscriber.
He's already a VIP
Subscriber.
member. He's a
Yeah,
VIP member.
Dude, I had some
I'm the
weird.
OnlyFan.
I had some weird dude message me. Like, I get some weird messages, not super often, but I had this one dude message me and like, "Hey, bro, do you have an OnlyFans account? Like, just like for where your like true fans can go and see like content you don't post on here." And I didn't respond, but I wanted to just blast this dude and like post it on my page.
Sorry
It
about
was
that.
Roger.
Sorry
It
about
was
that.
Roger.
Sorry. I was a
was
little.
Roger's-
I overstepped my boundaries. I
Roger's
apologize.
burner
Yeah,
account.
yeah.
Oh, dude, it was so weird because
I
the
want
dude's picture was like just a thong. It wasn't even his face. And I was just like, dude, this is probably some
dude.
fuck. It was either somebody I know fucking with
Yeah,
me
yeah.
or some fucking weirdo that I was
Yeah.
like, I can't even like click on it to show them that I saw it.
Well, again, man, I apologize for that. I was drinking a little bit that
You
night.
should have at least
Yeah.
told me it was you, and then I would have responded. Give you the secret code.
Listen, man, it's been a pleasure, Lance. I haven't met you in person before, so it was great to actually meet you, man. I've been following you for a long time. Big fan. Before you leave, you definitely got to sign the board up there. And
Hell yeah.
yeah, man. Thanks, everybody. Champ of
We'll,
the Tramp.
we'll have to redo this after you capture
Yes.
that third
Absolutely.
Definitely.
crown.
Hell yeah.
How
We
long
can
you
get
here
fucked
for?
up in here.
Training.
I'll be here until 12 days before June 10th.
Okay.
And then I don't know when the next fight will be after
Right,
that,
right.
but it'll be sometime in the late summer, hopefully.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, man. So
I appreciate
we'll see
appreciate
you around
guys
town,
having
man.
me
Tom's
on.
River's not that big,
Yeah.
so
I know. I love it.
Champ of the Tramp.
out.
Peace.
Later.
Later.